from Arrowhead Stadium in the Harry S. Truman Sports Complex. It's the start of a big sports doubleheader here in Kansas City. First, the Rams taking on the Chiefs. Later this afternoon, Game 2 of the World Series. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Hill along with John Dockery. And, John, we have good weather conditions this afternoon as the Rams go for their 7th straight victory while the Chiefs are looking to break their 2-game losing streak.
Jim, it's just about perfect weather conditions. Maybe not for baseball, but for football, it couldn't be better. Temperature 60 degrees, the wind not a factor. And you know what? The Chiefs like to play on their home artificial turf. They're 4-0 at home. Although they haven't seen the Rams that much. The series 2-0. Rams lead it. Last time they met, 1982, the Rams were victorious.
Well, a surprise at quarterback for the Chiefs this afternoon. Todd Blackledge will be starting from Penn State. He is starting in place of Jeff Kinney. We all know that Kinney has a series of injuries, and so Todd Blackledge, in his 3rd year from Penn State, who told us yesterday he told his father he wasn't going to get a haircut until he was going to start, so he went and got it trimmed just a little bit in the back. His father doesn't like all that long hair.
And he's looking for that opportunity. Of course, Kenny has played so well for the Chiefs all this year, but he's banged up, and that's the reason that Blackledge is going to get his opportunity today against the unbeaten Los Angeles Rams.
And we'll get a look at Blackledge right away because the Chiefs have won the toss, have elected to receive. Mike Lansford all set to kick off for the Rams. Jeff Smith, Stefan Page, all set to receive. And here is our kickoff. Stefan Page takes the ball at about 1 yard inside the goal line. Page in deep trouble, gets to the 10-yard line, and he's tackled there, and that's where the Chiefs will take over. 1st and 10, tackle made there by Jerry Gray. So the offensive lineup for the Chiefs, we already told you about Todd Blackledge starting, Herman Hurd, Bruce King, Carlos Carson, and Henry Marshall, the wide receivers. An offensive line that's really had a lot of problems this year, giving up 10 quarterback sacks in the last 2 games. So it will be 1st and 10.
And, Jim, that's the main problem. They must protect Blackledge. This is a pass-oriented offense. They will throw the ball twice as many times as they've run it.
And they told us that they aren't going to waste any time. They're going to put the ball up against the Rams. They're going to go right at them. Carlos Carson and Henry Marshall to the far side in the slot formation. Handoff goes to Bruce King. King gets to the 16-yard line. Tackle made by Mike Wilcher and Carl Eckert. Defensive alignment for the Los Angeles Rams, and this has been the real big improvement on their squad this year. Doug Reed leading the front 3 with 5 quarterback sacks. A linebacking core that some people say is really, really good, except right around the middle. That's what Tampa Bay worked on them last week, Carl Eckert and Jim Collins. And in the secondary, they're led by former Kansas City Chief Gary Green, the All-Pro. 2nd and 6. Inside handoff right up the middle. This is Herman Hurd. But there is a flag on the play. Good blocking by the offensive line of the Chiefs, but there is a flag.
And this is one of the things that you do for a quarterback who is starting his 1st game this year for you. And the call looks like to be against the Rams, Jim, as we wait for it right here from referee Dick Jorgensen.
Offsides, number 93, defense, decline. 1st down.
Penalty then against Doug Reed.
But the Chiefs have been absolutely pitiful running the ball. But if they're able to establish something on the ground, it takes a little heat off Todd Blackledge starting his 1st game here.
Enough yardage for the 1st down. Ball at the 26-yard line of Kansas City. Our ball game just getting underway. Here's a handoff. Herman Hurd trying to get to the outside, sees trouble. Barely gets back to the line of scrimmage, if any. Mel Owens coming up and making the tackle for the Rams.
The Rams are good against the rush. They're one of the best in the NFL. And the Kansas City Chiefs, a statistic that will startle you as you look at that. They've only allowed 87.3 yards rushing per game, 3rd lowest in the NFL. And to illustrate how tough it's been running the ball in Kansas City, the last time they had a back to rush for 100 yards was back in 1981. Billy Jackson did it against Minnesota. So it's been a long time.
That's one of the things that the Chiefs have really stressed in training camp, trying to get their running game going because they know they have a good passing attack. Inside handoff is Herman Hurd again. He has running room. Hurd over the 40-yard line, up to the 41-yard line. Nolan Cromwell, Johnny Johnson on the tackle for the Rams.
And this is just good blocking up front by that offensive line. Bob Rush, the center, a good one. Olderman, take a look at it right here. It's trap blocking. They are a finesse offensive line. And then watch his cutback. You see 55, Eckern overrunning the play, getting bounced away. That gives Herman Hurd good room to make the 1st down.
That's a pickup of 15 yards. Good enough for a 1st down. And the Chiefs who like to throw the ball, have been running with success here early in the first period. So you know they have to be very encouraged with that, and it really will open up their passing attack if their running game continues. Play action pass. Here's Blackledge with his first pass of the afternoon. Good protection. Throws. Complete. Bruce King coming out of the backfield. Tackle made by Carl Eckert.
And Jim, there's another silver lining to the fact if the Chiefs are able to run the ball. You saw it right there, a little play action. He completes a short pass over the middle for decent yardage. It'll also keep the ball out of the hands of Eric Dickerson.
Last week, you remember, against Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay people felt like they could work on the inside linebackers of the Los Angeles Rams, running little short patterns, medium curls, turn-ins. And that's exactly what the Chiefs plan to do this afternoon. 2nd and 3. Herman Hurd in the backfield, and he gets the ball. Hurd gets inside Ram territory. Charles DeJournay and Reggie Doss making the tackle. Bill Kinney, who has a jacket on and a headset right there, has been having a marvelous year for the Chiefs. He told us yesterday that he knows that he's in the groove, but he has so many injuries, John. His knee, his back, his ankle, his shoulder, everything. And
you know, he looked better in Friday's practice and Saturday's practice, but he said the problem is I can throw the ball, but setting up, my knee is bothering me, my ankle's bothering me. I really can't sit up the way I would like to.
But he said he's going to be Todd Blackledge's biggest supporter this afternoon, and he'll be screaming things to him from the sidelines. 3rd and 1. A toss back to Herman Hurd. He gets the first down. Tackle made by Doug Reed. Todd Blackledge also yesterday told us that if he started today, he wanted to add a little spark of life to this offensive unit. He wanted to go out and just to have a lot of fun, because he says the thing that they have been doing is just making mental mistakes over and over and over again.
Jim, the mark, you're exactly right, of a John Mackovic team is execution. Last week they did not do it against San Diego, a game they were supposed to win. They lost that game. They made mistakes. They dropped passes. They had a lot of penalties. He's out to stop that this week.
Hurd now 29 yards on 5 carries. Blackledge to pass the second time the game. Throws. Complete to Walt Arnold, the former Ram. Jim Collins in on the tackle for Los Angeles.
Outstanding pass protection against a solid rush from the Rams. Reed, DeJournay, Doss are good pass rushes, but they're only rushing 3 men. And this is from a line. Look at that protection. It's open, that lane over the middle, which quarterbacks love to throw in. And he completes a safe, high percentage pass to his tight end. But you mentioned it earlier, Jim. 10 sacks last 2 weeks.
Fritz Shermer, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, who's done a great job with this group. They've been playing a lot of zone so far, and they may have to switch it up. Ethan Horton in the backfield now. He gets the call. But he's tackled behind the line of scrimmage. Mel Owens coming up.
And Ethan Horton is the man that they think, the Chiefs think, will be their runner for the future. He has come along slowly. He was a #1 draft choice out of North Carolina, where he led the ACC for 2 seasons, 1,200 yards at North Carolina. But he's been slow. You see his rushes there. He's only carried the ball for 103 yards, 23 times. His average is okay, but he really hasn't gotten into the flow of the Chiefs' offense yet.
I think one of the reasons for that, John, is that Herman Hurd is the only veteran back there. He has 2 years of experience. Ethan Horton is a rookie. Jeff Smith is a rookie. Bruce King is a rookie. So he really doesn't want to place a lot of pressure on any one individual. From the shotgun, 3rd and 3 from the Ram 41-yard line. Blackledge throws. Complete to Walt Arnold again. Arnold gets away from Johnny Johnson, but Johnson comes back up and he's knocked out of bounds by Leroy Irvin.
Jim, the Rams were in their 6 defensive back alignment. They got some rush, but Newsome comes on the rush. But what Arnold did so well that time was he ran up. Take a look at it right here. Arnold. See him? He fakes inside, and then he runs away from Johnson. He's the one that comes back to the ball and cuts to the outside. Good read by Blackledge. Delivers it for the first down.
Blackledge so far 3 for 3 for 22 yards and doing an excellent job of leading the Kansas City Chief offense. 1st and 10. Ball at the 34-yard line of the Rams. Inside handoff. That's Ethan Horton. He's tackled by the middle of the Ram defensive unit led by Reggie Doss and Carl Eckert. One of the things that people dislike about Ethan Horton is that he is so tall and that he runs very high.
Well, he's almost 6'4". He's 230 pounds, and he's not what he appears he might be. He's not an up-the-middle power type of back. So that play he just ran is not his best. He's better off tackle and getting to the outside.
The reason for that, he was just used to running a lot of sweeps when he was at North Carolina. So it's 2nd and 8. Bruce King in the backfield now with Horton. And this is Horton again. He has a blocker in front of him, but he can't get to the outside as he's knocked out of bounds there by Gary Green, the former Kansas City Chief.
And that was just good play by Mel Owens as he strung out Bob Olderman, number 64, trying to get a block. Owens strung it out and then allowed the defensive secondary to come up to make the stop.
We're seeing now where the Rams on defense are starting to play a little bit more man-to-man coverage, and this is the position that I think that the Chiefs really like, because when they get them in man-to-man coverage, that's when they know they can put the ball in the air.
No doubt about it, because they have great receivers like Carlos Carson and Stephon Page, Henry Marshall. They can do it through the air, especially in third down situations where they love to go to Page.
From the shotgun formation, Stephon Page is in the slot. Blitz is on, throws across the middle. The pass is incomplete, intended for Ethan Horton. Vince Newsom covering for the Rams.
And that ball was just thrown behind Horton. They were playing a two-deep zone with man-to-man coverage underneath, and Blackledge just threw it behind Horton, who is an outstanding receiver out of the backfield, something they were very surprised with, because at North Carolina, he didn't do much pass receiving.
Here is the best kicker in the National Football League, Nick Lowry. The ball will be spotted at about the 40-yard line, which will make it a 50-yard field goal attempt. He's 3 of 4 from this distance. And he is, like we said, the best in the NFL. Bill Kinney is holding. It's long enough, but it is no good. So the 50-yard field goal attempt by Nick Lowry is to the right. It is no good. 7 minutes, 36 seconds left to go in the first quarter. No score. So Nick Lowry misses a 50-yard field goal attempt, and there's no score here in the first quarter between the Rams and Kansas City Chiefs. The Los Angeles Raiders are leading the Cleveland Browns 7-0. A 21-yard touchdown run by Frank Hawkins. And in another game this afternoon, San Francisco and Detroit, it's the Detroit Lions leading the San Francisco 49ers 7-0 on a 63-yard punt return by Pete Manley.
San Francisco needs that victory to stay close to the Rams until they play next week.
Lynn Kane in the backfield now with Eric Dickerson. Dickerson gets the handoff. Dickerson to the 38-yard line. Tackle made by Calvin Daniels. And here's a look at the Ram offensive attack. Dieter Brock, the quarterback. Eric Dickerson, who just had the carry then. Tony Hunter, Henry Ellard, and Bobby Duckworth, the receivers. An offensive line that's had some problems this year. They've given up 13 quarterback sacks in the last 3 games. 7 of those 13 last week against Tampa Bay. 2nd and 4. Play action pass. Good protection. Throws. Into and out of the hands of Bobby Duckworth. Kevin Ross defending. All right, the defensive alignment now for the Kansas City Chiefs. Up front, Art Still, who told us for the last couple of days that he really wants to be traded. Bill Moss is leading the team in sacks with 5. The linebackers, we just saw Calvin Daniels make the tackle, and it's a good group of linebackers. The veteran there is Gary Spaney. And in the secondary, they're led by Deron Cherry, who has 5 interceptions, 4 of those coming against the Seattle Seahawks. 3 wide receivers now in for the Rams. 3rd and 4. Brock throws. Dropped by Dickerson. And he should have had it, and if he would have picked up the first down.
I was just about to say that Dick looked like he was trying to run before he caught that ball. What they did was they sent Tony Hunter a little bit deeper, and then Dickerson slipped out of the backfield, and Dieter just tried to flip it to him, and he would have had the first down had he been able to hold on.
Dale Hatcher, who has a 44-yard average in punting for the Rams, and that's Garcia Lane, 5'9", 180 pounds from Ohio State, a rookie who is a very exciting rookie. He's taken some gambles this year, and some of them have paid off. But Hatcher has done an excellent job of punting for the Rams, getting the ball high and deep. This is Garcia Lane at the 19-yard line, and he's hit immediately. Tackle by Jerry Gray. Let's go to Brent Musburg in New York for this NFL Today update.
All right, Jim, you gave the score, and here's what happened to the 49ers. They punted and watched the missed tackles. One by the Niners. There's two. And, Jim, it could get a lot worse for the defending Super Bowl champions. The Rams could be in business if they keep winning. Let's go back to you.
Thank you very much, Brent. And we all know that John Robinson, besides concerning watching this game, he's really going to be watching that game also, John. The 49ers really having all kinds of problems, uncharacteristically missing tackles.
And they're 3-3, Jim. They play the Rams next week. If they could win today and then beat the Rams next week, they'd be right in the thick of things.
1st and 10 for the Chiefs at their own 24-yard line. The draw play to Herman Hurd. Tackle made by Carl Eckert.
You know, you look at that Ram defense, and I thought Irv Cross made a very good point, a couple of good points in his piece on the NFL Today show, pregame show. He talked about the defense keeping the Rams in all of the games this year and winning games for them. He mentioned those 3 interceptions returned for a touchdown, 12 interceptions overall. The Ram defense, look at the takeaways, 22 takeaways, second in the NFL. That, my friends, is the reason that the Rams are undefeated.
And they always talk about we. I've never heard one person on the Ram defense say I. That's why they are one of the best, and they're in first place. The handoff to Herman Hurd. Gets away from Doug Reed, and he's finally tackled as he gets over the 30-yard line by Carl Eckert. Are you kind of surprised that they are running a lot?
I'm very surprised. But again, if they could get a running game going, it does take so much of the heat off Blackledge. It also gives them some balance in their offense. That first drive they had, Jim, they had the ball 7.5 minutes, 14 plays, yet they came up short. That can take the steam out of a team, but it hasn't so far because they're continuing to run the ball.
John Mackovic, the coach of the Chiefs, has come under a little criticism this last week for a lot of rules that he's laid down, and we'll talk about some of those rules in just a couple of moments. But now the Rams have 6 defensive backs in. Blackledge is in the shotgun formation. It's 3rd and 3. It's a delayed blitz. Good protection. Throws intended for Walt Arnold, the former Ram. Incomplete. Johnny Johnson covering for Los Angeles. We're talking about some of those rules that Mackovic put in. He took away their lunch privileges this week, and a lot of people, a lot of players are really grumbling about those kinds of things.
He's taken the Chiefs out of their comfort zone. The reason I was laughing was that, remember Jimmy the Greek was talking about it before the game. He said he likes the Rams because Mackovic took away the free lunches from the Chiefs.
We'll talk about some of those other rules in a couple of moments. Here's Jim Arnold punting for Kansas City. Henry Ellard back to receive deep for the Rams. Ball bounces at the 36. Takes a Kansas City bounce. And it's finally down at the 31-yard line there by Bruce King. There's still no score. 5 minutes and 1 second left to go in the first period. We'll be back. Next Sunday on CBS, a doubleheader. First, most of you in the country will see Atlanta taking on Dallas. The Cowboys really starting to come back after not making the playoffs last year. Also, the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Chicago Bears, who going into today's game are undefeated. But, John, how about this one?
Oh, this one's hot. Right now, the San Francisco 49ers are trailing Detroit 7-0. But, folks, I cannot believe that a Bill Walsh team with Montana, Roger Craig, and all that talent will not come back to win. And if they do, they'll be 4-3. They beat the Rams, they'll be right back in the race.
It all starts with the NFL Today next Sunday. The Rams, 1st and 10. Peter Brock throws. Intended for Bobby Duckworth, the Kansas City Chiefs in the zone, and he just couldn't get it in there. Kevin Ross defending for Kansas City. So Dieter Brock, who's really had a tough time being accepted as far as the National Football League is concerned. A lot of people were talking about this. Well, we don't know if this guy can come in and play from Canada. And one of the tough selling jobs that John Robinson has had to do this year is to sell the fact that Brock is a good, efficient quarterback.
Well, I thought John Robinson yesterday when we talked to him was a little bit protective of his quarterback.
What he'd really like is some more protection from his offensive line. That's what he'd really like. 2nd and 10. The toss back to Dickerson. Oh, he's hit right at the line of scrimmage. Mike Bell. Good defense by Kansas City. Well, here it is. There's the 49ers. They've come back, John. They tied the Detroit Lions at 7 in the first period.
And I didn't know they were going to come back, Jim. I did not know, but they just have too much character. How about this Houston over Cincinnati 7-zip?
Also in the first period. It is Buffalo over Indianapolis 7-0 in the first period. San Diego leading the Vikings 7-0 in the first quarter. 3rd and 11. There's no score here. 4 minutes, 22 seconds left to go in the ball game. Mike Young, the rookie from UCLA, comes in. 3 wide receivers now for the Rams. Brock's going back to pass. Out of the hands of Bobby Duckworth, almost intercepted. Kevin Ross had it in his hands. Duckworth missed the pass and batted it to Kevin Ross.
The ball was not that well thrown. Brock has such an incredibly strong arm that it's difficult for the receiver sometimes to hold on. Here, he's throwing a square in over the middle. He's trying to clear the linebackers out. Watch this, the ball is a little bit out in front, and Ross almost comes up with an interception. And it was interesting. I saw Kevin Ross before the game, and he was in the weight room just meditating, clearing his mind, getting ready for the game.
A little foggy because he missed that one.
That's right.
Dale Hatcher in the kick now for the Rams. Garcia Lane back to receive for the Chiefs. Garcia is at his 25-yard line. Once again, no score here in the first period. Good high punt by Hatcher. Lane at the 26-yard line. Lane gets to the 33-yard line. Tackled by Kevin Green. Let's go to Brent Musburg again for an NFL Today update.
Well, Jim, the San Francisco 49ers got it right back. Joe Montana, well, he's been suffering from the flu, but he took it in anyway, and it's 7-all against Detroit. Let's go back to Jim in Kansas City.
All right, Brent, thank you very much. We all know that Montana and the 49ers, people are just waiting for them to really explode. They've had all kinds of problems this year, but one of the things is that everyone that has played them has really been up for them.
No doubt about it. Remember last week against Chicago, they lost, and I was a little bit surprised because I thought they were going to knock off Chicago, the only other unbeaten team.
1st and 10 now for Kansas City. Ball at their own 34-yard line. Todd Blackledge goes back to pass. The blitz is on. Good time. Throws. Intended for Carlos Carson. Intercepted by Leroy Irvin. Leroy Irvin, who last week had 2 interceptions against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One of them for a touchdown. He was the NFC's Defensive Player of the Week. Comes up with another big play, and the defense does it again for Los Angeles.
And they believe they can take advantage of him. They believe he settles and believes that he has great speed to recover. Here he does. Watch him use his body at the end of the play. Going up, screening out Carson to make another interception for the opportunistic Rams. Take a look at it right here. See him use his body and keep Carson away. That was the difference for Irvin with another interception.
Irvin gets his 3rd interception of the year. And that Ram defense continues to sparkle. Lynn Kane joins Eric Dickerson in the backfield. Dieter Brock at quarterback. Ball at their own 30-yard line. The toss goes to Dickerson. Good block by Kane. Oh, but good tackle by the Chiefs. Bill Moss.
You know how you stop Dickerson? Let me give you a quick clinic on how you stop him, folks. You control the line of scrimmage. The Chiefs are doing that right here. And then you cut down the pursuit of the linebackers. They're doing that. Take a look at this hit on the Dick. And then you force him inside. He loves to cut back, and you stall a free safety who hits. Look at that hit by Moss on Dickerson.
Moss in his 2nd year from Pittsburgh was the Associated Press's Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. He's carrying it over into his 2nd year. Play action pass. Throws. Complete to Lynn Kane. Kane tackled immediately by Kevin Ross. So the Chiefs firing up on offense and on defense, giving the Rams really all they can handle here in the first period.
You know, Jim, I have a feeling as you watch Brock again, this is just good pursuit, that if you take a team out of its comfort zone, the way Makovic has done with the Chiefs, you'll get them to play with this kind of intensity. People coming to the ball. Ross bringing down Kane right there. Take a look at Still. Art Still, one of the best rushers, a #1 draft choice, one of the 3 across. Here he gets a little bit of pressure. Brock has to throw the ball. He wanted to go upfield. And again, the Chief defense comes up and holds the Rams.
It's 3rd and 6. Ron Brown checks in now for the Rams. Gives them 3 wide receivers. Dickerson still in the backfield. Brock waiting around, almost throws and then holds it back and starts to run and picks up a 1st down. Dieter Brock did something then that a lot of quarterbacks really can't do. That is get into your passing motion, see that someone is covered, pull it back, start to scramble, picks up a 1st down.
You saw his stats there. He's not a man that likes to rush, that likes to run with the ball. John Robinson said he's a quarterback that can stay alive in the pocket. Yes, he has that strong arm. He pulls it back down, and it just tiptoes out of bounds for the 1st down. But again, Kansas City had good coverage downfield. He couldn't find anybody.
So uncharacteristically, Brock scrambles and picks up enough yardage for the first down. Ball at the 43-yard line of Los Angeles. Barry Redden joins Dickerson now, and he gets the handoff. This is Redden. Redden to the 48-yard line, tackled by Calvin Daniels. So the Rams trying to mix it up a little bit as far as their running backs are concerned, using Barry Redden in the backfield with Dickerson, coming with Lynn Kane in the backfield with Dickerson.
Well, Barry Redden is a fine running back in his own right, but Dickerson is the man who has always made the Rams go. And since he came back against Seattle in his triumphant return when he had 150 yards, Dickerson has not exactly been awesome in the last 3 games, Jim.
He has not rushed for 100 yards in the last 3 games. Here's Brock. Throws complete to Henry Ellard. Ellard hit at the 40-yard line, the 45-yard line of Kansas City by Albert Lewis. You know, I talked to Henry Ellard yesterday, and he was a little bit excited about what the Rams tried to do last week. He thought they were going to open it up a little bit more, and he said this week, I think we're going to pass just a little bit more.
And yes, the Dieter Brock, John Robinson will point it out to the minute anyone says anything negative about Brock, he'll say, do you know what, folks? His percentage completion over the last few games has been up around 66, 67%.
At the 46-yard line of Kansas City. Hand off to Dickerson. Gets in inside the 45 to the 44-yard line, tackled by Ken Jolly. Dickerson walking off the field yesterday, he looked at me and I asked him, I said, isn't it about time that you burst loose for a 100-yard game plus? And he said, well, I don't like to make predictions, Jim, but it's about time.
With a big smile on his face.
Yes.
You know, everybody says he's been close. A couple of times against the Minnesota, he was close. A couple of times last week, he was close, but he's yet to break that big Dickerson run.
2nd and 9. 6 defensive backs in now for Kansas City. Lynn Kane in the backfield with Dickerson. Brought back to pass again. Throws complete to Dickerson. Gets away from 1. But he can't get away from 3, led by Calvin Daniels. So that's the end of the first period with the score here in Kansas City. No score, Chiefs and Rams. There's no score here in Kansas City, but the Rams have suffered at least a temporary loss. Bobby Duckworth, a fine wide receiver they got from San Diego, has suffered a hip pointer. It's not known exactly if or when he will come back. And the hip pointer, John, is really one of the more difficult injuries to come back from.
It's really very painful. It takes a long time to heal. And for a receiver who gets hit on that spot all the time, it can be incredibly painful and tough to run with. Of course, excuse me, Jim, that means more of Ron Brown, who is back from an injury.
And the Rams are on the move now. 3rd and 2. Ball at the Chiefs 37-yard line. Lynn Kane in the backfield with Dickerson. Draw play to Dickerson. Dickerson gets to the 34-yard line before he's tackled by Ken Jolly.
You know, we talk about Dickerson and his problems. Of course, he was a holdout for a couple of games early in the year. And what astounds me, Jim, is that he has only 1 run of more than 11 yards. That's not exactly a 2,105-yard read.
And because of his mediocre season so far, you see where he ranks as far as the rushes are concerned. Freeman McNeil of the Jets is on top. Dickerson 22nd. It's 1st and 10 for Los Angeles. Brock back to pass, throws, complete to Dickerson. Good block by Tony Hunter. Dickerson bulldog down at these. He gets to the 24-yard line there by Kevin Ross.
This is a wise utilization of Dickerson. I've always felt when you have a great running back, get him the ball any place you can to give him some room to move, and that's exactly what Brock is doing here early for the Rams. He's getting it to Dickerson out in the flat. You mentioned Tony Hunter, 87, a good block, and then Dick just lowers his head and gets 1, 2, 3, 4 extra yards.
Here's another score. It is Cleveland. They've come back to tie the Raiders at 7 in the first period. Atlanta leads New Orleans 7-0 also in the first quarter. But there is no score here. Barry Redden in the backfield now with Dickerson. 1st and 10 for the Rams. The toss back to Dickerson. Gets a block from Redden. Dickerson to the 17-yard line. Bill Moss and Calvin Daniels in on the tackle for Kansas City.
And, you know, Jim, talking to the offensive line, and, of course, your brother David, number 81, is one of the main blockers for Eric. I sensed some frustration from that offensive line that they weren't able to shake Dickerson loose, especially coming off such a great year last year.
Well, they're all very, very close, especially David Hill along with Dickerson, and many people consider David Hill the best blocking tight end in professional football. Sometimes they forget about his catching ability, but wherever David Hill goes, Eric Dickerson soon will follow. The handoff to Barry Redden, right up the middle. Redden to the 10-yard line. Still on his feet, scrambles down to the 5-yard line. Finally tackled there by number 95, and Deron Cherry, also number 20, gets in on the tackle.
You know, all the records that Barry Redden set in college. He was a #1 draft choice back in '82, and this is just good strategy by the Rams. You run Dickerson, and then you try to pop Redden up the middle, which they do right there because everyone's looking for the Dick.
Jeff Payne, number 95, making first contact for Kansas City. That pickup then by Barry Redden, good for 13 yards. Gives the Rams first and goal. Ball at the 5-yard line. No score. 12:20 left to go in the first half. That's Tony Hunter in motion. Dickerson gets the ball at the 5. Down to about the 1-yard line. Albert Lewis making the tackle for Kansas City. So now that offensive line taking out its frustration and starting to do a good job.
And watch Kent Hill, 72. And the left side of that line, watch Dick. He almost makes it in with that last bit of surge. Bill Bain, 62 back, also getting a good block. And really, that is the guts of their offense, that line providing the way, leading the way for Dickerson.
Second and goal. Ball at the 1-yard line. There's no score, but the Rams are trying to get a touchdown now. It's Dickerson. And he's held short. Deron Cherry and Lloyd Burris making the tackle for Kansas City.
And this is just great play. Look at the line of scrimmage being controlled by the red-shirted Chiefs. And there, some penetration. Number 50, Calvin Daniels, trips up Dick so that he can't get that extra surge to get in the end zone.
It is third and goal. Everyone talks about the Ram defense, but the Chiefs have a very good defense themselves. And they're put to the test now. The toss back to Dickerson. He has blockers. And scores.
Just about scores. Well, was that great pursuit by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Eric Dickerson scores on a toss, and now the Chiefs trail 6-0.
He's in that deep eye. This gives him time to read. But watch the pursuit. All the red shirts there. Dick just squeezes underneath to get in the end zone.
Now, for those of you who are wondering why there was such a loud cheer just then, I think the Kansas City fans were cheering their defense because of the effort that they gave down at the goal line.
They certainly did.
Mike Lansford in to attempt the extra point conversion. So can you imagine what will happen when they score? Jeff Kemper's in to hold. And it is good. So after a 1-yard run by Eric Dickerson and the extra point conversion, the Rams lead 7-0. So the Rams go 69 yards, take 14 plays, use 7 minutes and 58 seconds on the clock, capped off by a 1-yard run by Eric Dickerson. And with 10 minutes and 53 seconds left to go in the first half, they lead the Kansas City Chiefs 7-0. Jeff Smith, Stephon Page back to receive deep for Kansas City. Mike Lansford kicking off for Los Angeles. This is Stephon Page at the 3-yard line. He has some speed. He gets to the 26-yard line. That's where he's tackled by Eric Harris.
You're right. I didn't.
Football today next Saturday. John, Patrick Ewing's debut in the regular season of the NBA as the New York Knicks take on the Philadelphia 76ers.
You know, Jim, I can't think of a more celebrated arrival into the NBA. I mean, I can't remember a guy except who maybe Kareem back in, when?
69.
69. I mean, Patrick, he's been getting banged around a little bit. I wonder if he can take the contact in that non-contact sport.
Didn't he get in a fight last night or something like that?
I think he did. Stepanovich from Indiana roughed him up a little bit. Patrick retaliated.
He got hurt a little bit, too. That's next week right here on CBS. We'll find out more at a live interview with Ewing at halftime with Brent Musburger. Here's a handoff to Bruce King. King gets to the 32-yard line. Tackle made by Nolan Cromwell. 7-0 here. Also 7-0 San Diego over Minnesota. It is Pittsburgh over St. Louis, 14-3 in the first half. Dallas over Philadelphia by a touchdown in the second quarter. No score. Washington and the New York Giants. 10:16 left to go in the first half here. 2nd and 3. Ethan Horton in the backfield now, along with Bruce King for Kansas City. A handoff goes to King. Ethan Horton at 6'4", 225 tried to block Gary Green at 5'11", 195 and couldn't do it. The 49ers behind Joe Montana. You talked about it, John. They're back on top now of the Detroit Lions, 14-7.
You know, we all know how tough it is to repeat after coming off a Super Bowl year, but I have to believe that Bill Walsh knows what he's doing against a team that is less than awesome, Detroit. He's not going to look by Detroit. I think he's going to pick up a victory and then look to beat the Rams next weekend.
And Joe Montana in that particular ball game has the flu. Sometimes you play your best games when you're under the weather like that. Jeff Smith and Bruce King in the backfield now for Kansas City. 3rd and 1. This Smith gets the ball. And he picks up enough yardage for the first down. Tripped up there by Nolan Cromwell.
And you mentioned the inexperience in the Kansas City backfield. Smith, the rookie from Nebraska. King, the rookie from Purdue. Horton, the rookie from North Carolina. Herman Hurd, the only man with any experience whatsoever. And he's an old veteran in his second year, all 23 years old, out of Southern Colorado. So inexperience is a problem, part of the problem in the running game for the Chiefs.
They call Herman Hurd Bluebeard. Bluebeard. He's the old man back there. Bruce King now in the backfield with Ethan Horton. 1st and 10. Ball at the 38-yard line of Kansas City. Inside handoff. This is Horton. Horton to the 42-yard line. Doug Reed making the tackle. So uncharacteristically, a team that has been known for its passing ability has been doing a decent job of running in the form of the Chiefs.
You know, I think there's a couple of reasons that the Chiefs might be running the ball. We mentioned earlier they want to protect Blackledge a little bit, let him get his feet on the ground. But also, I think in the last 2 games, they've had 10 sacks. So they want that offensive line to get some of their confidence back by powering off the ball and blocking for the run.
In the run, they're ranked 25th in the NFL. 2nd down and 5. Ball at the 43-yard line. Play action pass by Blackledge. Throws. Complete to Walt Arnold. All by himself. Tackle by Gary Green. So Walt Arnold, Blackledge told us yesterday that his tight end would be a very important part of the offense. Good for 17 yards.
He told us that because of the zone. See that right there? Both linebackers are suckered. I can't believe they're playing that tight on a not a great play action fake. Arnold. And look at Gary Green. See him come with that arm to try and strip the ball. That's what the Ram defensive backs do so well. But that time, both inside linebackers, Jim, you saw him, Eckern and Collins just bit on the fake, and Arnold was wide open.
And it is good for the first down. 1st and 10 at the Ram 40-yard line. E.J. Jones now in the backfield with Ethan Horton. The Chiefs really mixing up their offensive running attack with different people. Horton gets the ball. Good block by Jones. Horton to the 39-yard line. Tackle by Mike Wilcher.
You know, another thing Horton talked to us about, remember as an I tailback at North Carolina, where he was awesome and one of the top running backs drafted, he stood up with his hands on his knees, and that gave him much better vision. Now he's down in a stance, so his vision of the field and the holes and the openings is obscured somewhat, and that's been a major transition for Ethan Horton.
It's something that he really told us yesterday he has to work on quite a bit.
And I get a sense of disappointment from Kansas City on Ethan Horton.
Bruce King in the backfield now for the Chiefs. 6 defensive backs in for the Rams. King right up the middle. Tackle by Sean Miller.
Bruce King on the carry.
Hey, John, your Giants leading Washington 7-0. The Skins having problems in the second quarter.
You're going to make me responsible for all of the New York teams again. Houston over Cincinnati, 10-zip.
In the second quarter. New Orleans and Atlanta tied at 7.
Look at New Orleans hanging tough, aren't they?
Behind Bum Phillips doing a good job down there. 7-0 our score here. 5:56 left to go in the first half. 3rd and 7. Ball at the 37-yard line of Los Angeles. 3 wide receivers in now for the Chiefs. Blackledge back to pass. Good protection. Throws. Intercepted. This is Johnny Johnson. Johnny Johnson tackled by Stephon Page. There's a flag on the play, but Johnny Johnson comes up with his 4th interception of the year.
Blackledge was looking for, and the call is against the Kansas City Chiefs for holding.
Number 76, offense, decline. First down.
Jim, a more experienced running back would have run away from Johnny Johnson. Watch Horton out of the backfield. Watch the right of your screen. He hooks up. You see Johnson reading the quarterback coming hard. Had Horton run away from Johnson, he would have had an opening, and Blackledge might have been able to get it in. But just a great read by Johnny Johnson and drive on the ball.
The 2nd interception of the afternoon for the Rams. The first by Leroy Irvin. Now Johnny Johnson comes up. The Ram defense meeting the challenge again. Barry Redden in the backfield now with Dickerson. The toss back to Dickerson. Blocked by Redden. Dickerson gets to the outside. Bumped out of bounds at the 42-yard line by Kevin Ross. So the Rams come up with 2 big turnovers, and going into today's ball game, these 2 teams have both been very good in that particular category.
They have, but the story today has been interceptions. Leroy Irvin one, as you see right there, and Johnny Johnson the other. So Kansas City having their problems being consistent on offense. Blackledge getting his first start of the season.
So the Chiefs have had men open, but the Rams have done an excellent job of reading the quarterback in the zones and coming up with 2 interceptions. Mike Young joins Henry Ellard. The slot at the top of your screen. Brock back to pass. Plenty of time. Throws. Complete to Dickerson. Dickerson tackled by Gary Spaney.
Gary Dickerson tackled by Gary Spaney.
So while the Rams lead here, it is the 49ers and Detroit Lions battling it out. 14-all in the 2nd period. The defending world champions trying to defeat the Lions, who've been struggling all year long. Eric Dickerson leaves the field.
You know, Jim, we talk about balance on offense, something that John Robinson is looking for. That last drive for the Ram touchdown, 14 plays, 10 of them were runs, 4 of them passes, and Brock really mixed it up well.
That power football that John Robinson is so concerned about and that he wants to get back. 3 wide receivers in now for Los Angeles. 3rd and 4. Brock throws to the far sidelines, intended for and out of bounds to Henry Ellard. Albert Lewis defending for Kansas City.
Brock was feeling a little bit of heat now on that play from Art Still and how to deliver that ball.
You know that.
Take a look at it again right here. Brock, after he throws the ball, Still takes him down. One of the prices you pay as a quarterback in the NFL.
Garcia Lane back to receive for Kansas City. Dale Hatcher into punt now for the Rams. Lane is standing at his own 10-yard line. 4:46 left to go in the first half. The Rams lead at 7-0, looking for their 7th win of the year. Good high punt. Lane with a fair catch. Makes the fair catch. There's a flag on the play, but he makes the fair catch at the 25-yard line. But there is a flag on the play.
And Jim, last week both teams had tremendous penalty problems. Remember the Rams in the first half against Tampa Bay almost killed themselves with penalties. They had 7 for about 75 yards. Kansas City lost to San Diego on penalties and mistakes also.
This particular penalty this time is in the Rams' favor. It's against Kansas City. Preliminary call is holding by referee Dick Jorgensen. And that was one of the things that John Robinson really had to stress to his team last week against Tampa Bay. Forget about all those first half penalties and let's go out and prove we're a good football team.
By the receiving team while the ball is in the air. First down.
Well, John Robinson also said he thought there was an imbalance because if Tampa Bay had very few. We'll be right back in a moment, folks. Rams lead KC 7-zip.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Light Beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. Honda, who invites you to see the new Accord hatchbacks and 4-door sedans at your local Honda dealer. And by Sony Super Beta, the VCR that gives you a picture 20% sharper than VHS.
4 minutes, 38 seconds left to go in the first half. The Rams lead the Chiefs 7-0. The Chiefs have the ball. 1st and 10 ball at their own 15-yard line. Todd Blackledge starting for Bill Kinney at quarterback. Ethan Horton and Bruce King in the backfield now for Kansas City. This is Ethan Horton. Turned in by Leroy Irvin back to the rest of his defensive teammates. Tackle made by Mel Owens.
This is a little bit of a surprise this afternoon to watch Kansas City running the ball more often than they're throwing the ball. You look at it right there. Out of 26 plays, they rushed the ball 18 times, passed it only 8 times. That's a surprise.
It's just the opposite of what they've normally been doing, because they rank 8th in the NFL in passing with probably the finest core of wide receivers in pro football.
You certainly could argue the point with Marshall and Carson and Page.
Ethan Horton, the sole setback now for the Chiefs. 2nd and 9 at their 16-yard line. And Horton gets the call. He fumbles the ball, and it's recovered by Nolan Cromwell. Nolan Cromwell, who went to school at the University of Kansas, has a pretty nice homecoming for himself as he comes up with a fumble recovery.
Week in and week out, what are the stories of wins and losses in the NFL? Take a look at Horton. Fumbles, turnovers, interceptions. This will be the 3rd by the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 interceptions right here. He's hit, coughs the ball up. Cromwell, opportunistic defense by the Rams again.
Jim Collins, a fine inside linebacker for the Rams, made the hit that caused Horton to cough up the ball. And the Rams get a great opportunity here to get their 2nd touchdown of the afternoon as they have the ball 1st and 10 at the Chief 23-yard line. Rock back to pass. Throws complete to Dickerson. Dickerson drugged down from behind at the 18-yard line by Jerry Blanton.
Well, you look at the miscues. Kansas City, we mentioned those 3 turnovers. Interception results in a Ram TV. Another interception. They dodged the bullet. Now they fumbled. We'll see what the Rams can do. It's a continuation, isn't it, Jim, of last week against San Diego.
When they played against the Chargers, they were putting it lightly. They were really bad last week against San Diego, speaking of the Chiefs. Dickerson, 4 catches for 26 yards so far this afternoon. Dickerson has the ball up the middle. Tackled by Bill Moss.
You think Dickerson's taking a page from James Wilder's book? Of course, Wilder's such a good receiver out of the backfield. Dickerson doing that today.
Well, the thing that Dickerson has been doing more of the last couple of weeks is really try to catch the ball more out of the backfield. I think that, as you mentioned a little while ago, when you do that, you really open up his offensive arsenal, because, you know, now you have to alert the linebackers and things like that. 3 wide receivers in now for Los Angeles. Ron Brown, Mike Young, and Henry Ellard. Dickerson in the backfield. Rocket quarterback. Rock back to pass. Throws, and it's behind Tony Hunter. Tony Hunter was covered then by Lloyd Burris, and looked like it was just a mix-up in signals then, because Hunter was looking to his left, and Brock threw the ball over his right shoulder.
And there was tremendous pressure from the Kansas City Chiefs. And, of course, we know that Hunter's a fairly new arrival, traded from Buffalo about 3 or 4 games ago. So, you know, the timing between Brock and Hunter, they don't get that much. And that one was just, he didn't look over his outside shoulder, or he might have had that ball.
So Mike Lansford will be in now to attempt the field goal. The ball will be spotted at the 23, so it'll be a 33-yard field goal attempt. So far this year from that distance, Lansford is 4 of 5. And it is good. So Mike Lansford's 33-yard field goal gives the Rams a 10-0 lead over the Chiefs. John, later this afternoon, Game 2 of the World Series, the St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Royals. Right in the middle of your screen, you can't see him right now. He's shielded just a little bit, but that's Whitey Herzog, the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. You see him right there with his butch haircut, and right behind him, just above him, George Brett, third baseman for the Royals. Here's the kickoff. Jeff Smith, 1 yard deep in the end zone. Oh, and is he hit at the 15-yard line? That's where the Chiefs will take over 1st and 10. Mark Giroux making the tackle for Los Angeles. Coming up at halftime, Brandon Irv with all the scores and highlights, and a feature interview with Patrick Ewing.
As number 33 arrives for the Knicks, a new era begins. But Patrick had a little bit of a scrap last night with Steve Stepanovich. I wonder, he was banged up a little bit. I wonder how badly he's hurt. I'm sure Brent will be talking to him about that.
Don't forget, that's coming up at halftime. 2 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in the first half. The Rams leading the Chiefs 10-0. Todd Blackledge, Bruce King, and Herman Hurd in the backfield now. That's Carlos Carson in motion. Blackledge back to pass. The blitz is on. Gets away from one linebacker. Throws. Into and out of the hands of Henry Marshall. One of the things, John, if you remember, that some of the Chiefs were telling us about yesterday is this year the Chiefs have been throwing more, so the receivers have been getting more opportunities. So far this afternoon, not many passes, and so maybe they're kind of tightening up just a little bit.
And yeah, Blackledge did well to get away from Mike Wilshire as he's looking for Henry Marshall downfield. And he just can't hold the ball. That's a little bit of a surprise because Marshall is the favorite wide receiver for all of the quarterbacks here in Kansas City.
2nd and 10, ball at the 16-yard line of Kansas City. Inside handoff to Herman Hurd. Hurd gets just back to the line of scrimmage, and the fans are booing. And when you really look at it, a lot of people have every right to boo because they expect more passes. That's the 2-minute warning. We'll be back in a moment. Coming up later today here on CBS, John, this is an event that you covered last year, America's Marathon Chicago.
I was there at the finish line when Steve Jones set the world record. And, you know, the course is flat and fast. Anything can happen there. And what a confrontation on the women's side.
Certainly is. Joan Benoit will be there. Ingrid Christensen will be there. That's later today right here on CBS. 2 minutes to go in the first half. Rams down. Rams leading 10-0. They have the Kansas City Chiefs down. Rams have 6 defensive backs in. Todd Blackledge in the shotgun formation for Kansas City. Good protection. Throws. Oh. You know, that ball really looked like it was going to be intercepted by Gary Green, but a super reception then by Carlos Carson.
Carson was surrounded by Ram defenders, and what a throw. Strong arm, only a 3-man rush by the Rams. We're back to live action.
From the shotgun again. Blackledge throws. Complete to Herman Hurd, but there is a flag on the play. Herman Hurd out of the backfield. But there is a flag on the play. You think about that reception once again by Carlos Carson. I really thought Gary Green was going to have the interception.
You know, there's a little extra zip on Blackledge's ball. He has a little more of an arm.
12 men on the field. Defense.
That's one way to play defense. Let's take a look at that reception again. Blackledge with a strong arm, a little bit stronger than Kenny's, just drills it in there. Not much of a rush, only 3 men trying. Look at that. 3 Ram defenders right there diving for the ball, comes up with the catch for the first down.
12 men on the field. Defense, 5 yards, still first down.
Well, during the week, former Chief Gary Green was holding little seminars with his defensive teammates, telling everyone about the Chief receivers, and I had the privilege of sitting in on one of those meetings. And he said, quite frankly, you cannot intimidate Carlos Carson. Carlos Carson is one of the finest receivers in the whole football league, and Green was telling different things about certain people. And Gary Green coming back to Kansas City is a very emotional game for him. When he was traded to the Rams, he left under very controversial circumstances. He and Coach McAvick did not get along at all. Yesterday we said, Coach McAvick, we understand that you and Gary Green didn't get along from day one. Remember what he said?
He said, well, maybe not day 1, maybe day 2. But Gary Green was saying, no vendettas, but underneath that, you know that he wants to have a great game coming back here to Kansas City.
Absolutely. 1st and 5. Ethan Horton and Herman Hurd in the backfield now for the Chiefs. From the shotgun. Blackledge going for Carson. He bumps into Green. There's a flag on the play.
And Jim, I think you probably called it. Carlos Carson trying to get by Gary Green, who had great position on him, pushes off, and that's what I think we're going to have called.
Interference against Carlos Carson.
But it was because Green had such great position on him that he had to push him off. Take a look at it again. See Green, he looks like he's running the pattern. Perfect position to catch it. Carlos, by pushing him, may have prevented an interception because Green had such great position.
The Rams then in a zone defense.
Interference, number 88, offense, still first down.
Rams sitting back in that defense, the zone defense that they play so well, and really trying to throw over that sometimes is really impossible. The Detroit Lions lead the San Francisco 49ers 17-14. Joe Montana for the 49ers playing with the flu this afternoon. Houston over Cincinnati 17-3 in the second quarter. Atlanta over New Orleans 14-7 in the first half. Buffalo leading Indianapolis 7-3 in the second quarter. San Diego and Minnesota tied at 7. Three wide receivers in now for the Chiefs. Anthony Hancock, number 82, is in. Blackledge throws complete to Herman Hurd out of the backfield. Hurd tackled immediately there by Eric Harris, another former Chief. Hurd gets to the 29-yard line.
Had Hurd been able to get out of bounds, he would have stopped the clock and given the Chiefs more of an opportunity.
Again from the shotgun. Good protection. Blackledge gets hit as he throws the ball. Intercepted by Gary Green. Now, I'm going to tell you something. When Green goes to the sidelines, he's going to have a lot to say. Less than a minute to go in the first half. We'll be right back. John, Todd Blackledge really got leveled here.
Gary Jeter, the designated pass rusher for the Rams, levels him as he's throwing the ball. Gary Green with good reaction. And you know what, Jim? Unless you're Dan Marino, you cannot drill the ball into a deep zone, try and throw it that far downfield.
Revenge for Gary Green, and a little bit of a great bit of pass rush right here by Gary Jeter. I say revenge for Green. He said he wanted to come in and have a good game and pick off a couple. He has one so far. Ron Brown in now for the Rams. They have the ball 1st and 10. Ball at the 40-yard line of Kansas City. Brock the pass. Runs for the second time. Almost runs over the umpire, but he's finally tackled there by Calvin Daniels. Also Lloyd Burris in on the tackle for Kansas City. Pickup of about 8 yards. 2nd and 2. 40 seconds left to go in the first half. Brock to Dickerson. Gets away from one man, gets away from Daniels, and Dickerson runs out of Brown after making the reception from Dieter Brock.
And obviously he stopped the clock. I don't know why the Rams didn't stop it before that. They have their timeouts left. That time, Dickerson trying to tackle Dickerson one-on-one is like trying to drink coffee with a fork. Daniels didn't square up. Dickerson just put a little move on him. Bingo, first down, out of bounds. Smart play by Dickerson.
At the 21-yard line of Kansas City, Ron Brown, Mike Young, Henry Ellard, the wide receivers for the Rams. Dickerson is a sole setback for Los Angeles. Rams lead it 10-0. Here's Brock back to pass. And he's dropped as he gets just inside the 20-yard line. This time Calvin Daniels comes over along with Art Still, and there's a timeout on the field.
Timeout. Rams.
17 seconds left to go in the first half. Rams up by 10. You know, John, the Rams have been having all kinds of problems blocking up front. They'll use any help they can get. This time from the umpire, Neil Jarrett.
They got a pretty good block here. See him screen off some of the defenders from Kansas City. Brock uses them well. Smart quarterback uses every edge you can get.
And right now the Rams have a 10-point edge over Kansas City. 17 seconds left to go. 2nd and 9. Ball at the 20-yard line. Brock back to pass. Throws in and out of the arms of Tony Hunter. Lloyd Burris defending for Kansas City.
You know, Jim, if I were John Robinson, I would be concerned. Yes, I know I'm leading this game 10-0, but still an awful lot of pressure on my quarterback. Last week against Tampa Bay, 7 sacks. This afternoon, Brock has had to run 3, 4, 5 times, and that's not exactly what John Robinson wants from his offensive line, which is supposed to be the foundation of his physically tough power football team.
You saw Bruce Snyder, the running back coach, signaling in the plays from the sidelines. David Hill, Tony Hunter, the receivers, along with Mike Young and Henry Ellard.
3rd down, he's got to go downtown for the touchdown. When you get it, he'll go for the field goal.
Into the end zone, intended for Tony Hunter, incomplete, cover there by Lloyd Burris. That leaves 7 seconds left on the clock, but Mike Lansford comes in to attempt the field goal. Lansford already has 1 field goal this afternoon, good for 33 yards. And the Rams have a 10-0 lead. This time the ball will be spotted once again at the, this time it'll be spotted at the 27. It'll make it a 37-yard field goal. He has one from 33. This one, attempt from 37 yards. There are flags on the play. The field goal is good, but there are flags on the play. Robinson indicating that he wants the field goal, but let's see what the penalty is.
Well, Jim, it was 4th and 9, so unless it's a major penalty, I think he'd want to take the field goal.
Certainly with 2 seconds left on the clock. That's exactly what Robinson was saying.
It was against the Chiefs because he's talking to the Rams.
Offside. Number 29. Defense. Decline. 3 points.
The penalty then against Albert Lewis, but the 37-yard field goal attempt by Mike Lansford is good and makes the score now 13-0 in favor of Los Angeles. Coming up at halftime, Brendan Irv with scores and highlights and an interview, a special interview with Patrick Ewing as he gets ready to make his regular season debut with the New York Knicks. They take on the Philadelphia 76ers. You'll see it right here on CBS.
And you know, next week Patrick has to go against Moses Malone. You think he'll get a lesson in that game from Moses, who knows all the tricks in the game?
Well, Moses has not gotten off to a great start in the preseason himself. He struggled just a little bit himself, but once the regular season starts, you can depend on Moses to be there, and he'll be there going against Patrick Ewing. An interview with Ewing at halftime.
And it's incredible excitement in New York, Jim. Of course, you're from LA, so maybe you don't feel it as much, but Patrick Ewing represents the renaissance of basketball, pro basketball in New York.
Here's Mike Lansford kicking off. Jeff Smith and Anthony Hancock. The squibber. Jeff Smith tries to fall on the ball, and he does at the 16-yard line. Sean Miller touching him down there. And with that kickoff, that is the end of the first half. And the fans here in Kansas City booing. They expected more offensive punch from their Kansas City Chiefs. No offensive punch, no points on the scoreboard. And the Rams behind 2 field goals by Mike Lansford, one of 37 yards, one of 33 yards, a 1-yard touchdown run by Eric Dickerson, and 3 interceptions by their defense. Gary Green, Johnny Johnson, and Leroy Irvin. And this is really the story of the game. Interceptions and miscues by Kansas City. The Rams have turned them into field goals and a touchdown.
You can't expect to win if you're Kansas City. On the last 4 drives, you commit 4 turnovers, and that's what's giving the Rams all this opportunity.
So the Rams have a 13-0 halftime lead. Back in a moment. It is halftime here at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, where the Los Angeles Rams lead the Kansas City Chiefs 13-0. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Hill along with John Dockery. And John, this is a very, very strange game as far as the Chiefs are concerned. Offensive passing attack, very potent, ranked 8th in the NFL, non-existent.
Non-existent. They try to take a page from the Rams book and run the ball, and they haven't been successful doing it. But, Jim, turnovers are really the story of this game. 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions by Blackledge in the first half, and that's helped to set up some points for the Rams, and that's really been the story of the first half.
The Rams, once again, coming up with those 3 interceptions, Leroy Irvin, Johnny Johnson, and Gary Green. They've been depending on their defense, but look at this. The last 4 possessions of the Chiefs have turned into points for for the Rams.
Yep, 3 interceptions and a fumble. That fumble by Horton, the #1 draft choice from Kansas City, recovered by Cromwell. So it's typical Rams football. I mean, they're playing opportunistic defense, and their offense is just doing what it has to do, and that's the reason they lead here at halftime.
And we talked about interceptions this afternoon. The Rams have done it all on defense this year. Here's one of 3 interceptions by Leroy Irvin.
Good reaction by Leroy Irvin. They're looking to go deep to the speedster Carlos Carson, but Irvin gets underneath, makes the interception, and you know, that was just not a great throw. There's been pressure on Blackledge all day long, and that set up, well, it didn't exactly set up, but this was a long drive. Dickerson not having much of a day, Jim, only 26 yards, but here he squeezes into the end zone for the only Ram touchdown in the first half.
That, along with 2 field goals by Mike Lansford, one of 33 yards and one of 37 yards, and it gives the Rams now a 13-0 halftime lead. But you look at field position for Kansas City. They have not started a drive in Ram territory.
They really haven't, and you have to wonder about John Mackovic. He started Todd Blackledge this afternoon because Bill Kinney was all banged up. He could have played, but Mackovic said, let me rest him so I have him for the next 3 or 4 weeks. And he put Blackledge in there, and Blackledge is having a long afternoon, 3 interceptions.
We talked to Bill Kinney yesterday, and we talked about a scenario for this game. Remember, he talked about McMahon, the game that he had for the Chicago Bears against Minnesota. McMahon coming off the bench. Maybe that's what Bill Kinney would like to do this afternoon.
He certainly would. Can you imagine him being the relief pitcher to come in and bring the Kansas City Chiefs back against the Rams? We'll find out.
We'll find out what John Mackovic decides to do in the second half. 13-0 Los Angeles. Todd Blackledge is warming up at halftime, as he has been very ineffective in the first half. 4 turnovers, John. 3 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. The Rams doing it again on defense. But I still am really amazed that the Chiefs have not attempted to pass any more than they have.
When was the last time you remember a Chiefs team throwing more, running for more yards than they have passing? And take a look at the field position. The Rams own 46, Kansas City own 21. Average field position. So it really is the Rams again setting things up for themselves with their opportunistic defense.
And John Mackovic knows that Bill Kenny is ready and that he can play. Whether he will decide to go to Kenny in the second half, Kenny said that he wants to play this afternoon because he knows what he can do against the Los Angeles Rams.
And this is an important game. Yeah, the Rams do want to stay undefeated and keep that cushion against San Francisco, and John Robinson knows that. But more important for the Kansas City Chiefs, they can't lose another and fall further behind in the AFC West.
So the scenario that Bill Kenny told us about yesterday just may come true as he is warming up on the sidelines. He told us yesterday that he is in the groove, but Bill Kenny and the Chiefs will have to wait, because Nick Lowry is kicking off for Kansas City. Charles White back to receive deep now for Los Angeles, along with Ron Brown. And this is the Olympic gold medal winner, Brown, at the 1-yard line with plenty of speed. Breaks loose, gets out to the 39-yard line of Los Angeles. He's tackled there by Kevin Ross, and that's where the Rams will take over 1st and 10.
The man who took 4th in the Olympic 100. Pure speed, pure electricity. Take a look at Ron Brown again. Boy, he sees an opening and can fly. Of course, he's been having some leg problems, and he's just back at full speed this week, and he shows it right here. Good move, and then burst. Look at that blocking out in front. And right here, might have gone all the way, but for a good tackle right there by number 31, Kevin Ross, the cornerback.
Good for 38 yards. Gives the Rams good field position, 1st and 10. Eric Dickerson in the backfield now for Los Angeles. And Dickerson gets the call. He's tackled there by Art Still. Picks up just a couple of yards. And it'll be 2nd down now for the Rams.
And Jim, I would think in the second half, we have a new cornerback, by the way, for the Kansas City Chiefs. Albert Lewis has a strained neck. Greg Hill, who we saw in practice the other day, is in for him. But remember, Hill had that ice pack on his hamstring. He strained it slightly in practice Friday, so I'm really surprised to see him in there. But of course, the Kansas City Chiefs in their defensive secondary are banged up somewhat, so Hill has to.
And the Rams on offense are banged up. Here is Tony Slayton, 2nd-year man from USC, who was filling in for Bill Bain. And he is slowly limping off the field. Now he's starting to walk off just a little bit better.
And you mentioned, of course, Dennis Hara is out of that lineup. He is the stalwart on that LA Rams offensive line.
Okay, next week, right here on CBS, NFL doubleheader. Most of the country will see the Atlanta Falcons going against the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys bouncing back, not making the playoffs last year, playing a little bit better the last couple of weeks. While some of you will see the second game, but here, the other contest, but here, this is the big contest that's coming up next week as far as the Rams are concerned.
You know, you have to think Dickerson's going to explode sooner or later, and against the San Francisco defense, 20th versus the rush, it could be next week.
But this week is what's on the Rams' mind right now. 2nd down, Brock back to pass. Throws, it's hit at the line of scrimmage. Hit by Calvin Daniels, a blitzing linebacker.
And Bill Bain is back in the lineup, number 62. He didn't play at all last week because of Bain's pains, especially around his rib area. He told me yesterday, you know, that gives me problems, pass blocking, because I have to extend my arms, and there's a lot of pain around my rib area.
Another problem that Bill Bain is having right now is I think he's thinking this just may be his last year. And there's some indication that he's thinking a little bit too much about retirement as opposed to playing football. But he's in there now. He protects for Brock. Brock throws. Intended for Mike Young, incomplete. Covered there by Kevin Ross.
Did he protect? Boy, he did some job on number 99, Mike Bell. Big Bill Bain did. You mentioned Bain. I mean, 300 pounds, 11 years, 33 years old. But watch the job he does on Bell. Strong upper body, 300 pounds. Watch him right here. He throws Bell right to the ground. Goodbye. Right there. Get out of the way with that left arm. Protects Brock.
Dale Hatcher into punt now for Los Angeles. Garcia Lane back to receive deep for Kansas City. 3rd quarter just getting underway. Good high long punt by Hatcher. Lane at the 10-yard line. And that's where he's dropped. Vince Newsom making the tackle for the Rams. And the Chiefs will take over 1st and 10. Todd Blackledge. Blackledge is going back in. We saw Bill Kinney warming up on the sidelines. Maybe he will go in a little bit later, but as for right now, it is still Todd Blackledge who threw 3 interceptions in the first half. The Rams lead it 13-0. Kinney told us yesterday he'll be Blackledge's biggest supporter on the sidelines. He'll even yell and scream out to him words of encouragement.
He needs it, Jim. Boy, he needs it. Boy,
he certainly does.
First half.
Once again, the Chiefs starting out in poor field position. End up coming to Herman Hurd. Good play at the line of scrimmage by Leroy Irvin, forcing the run to go laterally longer. Irvin coming up along with Doug Reed to make the tackle.
You know, as you watch his ground level replay, this is great cornerback play by Leroy Irvin. Turns the play back inside and then bounces outside himself to force the runner and makes the tackle. I mean, that's just perfect defensive back play.
Well, the Rams, and from the secondary standpoint, along with being able to cover so well, Irvin and Green have in the last 3 or 4 weeks become really tremendous football players, and people are considering them one of the finest secondaries in the league. Bruce King now in the backfield now for the Chiefs. And he gets a call up the middle. Oh, is he hit by Reggie Doss?
Whoa. My goodness. And part of the reason the cornerbacks are so good, Jim, is that improved pass rush from the defensive line. Guys like Reggie Doss, the 8th man out of Hampton Institute, watch this hit. This is about an 8.9 on the Richter scale. Whoa! What a clock. But that whole defense, Jim, has come on to be stronger.
Well, Reggie Doss, who says he calls himself the Rodney Dangerfield of the National Football League, says he doesn't get any respect. I think he has some respect as far as Bruce King is concerned now. 4 wide receivers in now for Kansas City. We mentioned they have the best core of wide receivers in the league. But there's flag on the play. Too much time. So the Chiefs, from an offensive standpoint, are picking up right where they left off at the end of the first half, making a lot of miscues from an offensive standpoint.
Delay. Offense. Still 3rd down.
And if there's one thing John Mackovic can accept, it's mental mistakes, like most coaches. But Mackovic is a perfectionist. Wants his team to execute. They haven't done it for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
And I'm wondering if he's thinking, if the thought's going through his mind now, do I send in Bill Kinney a little bit later? But right now it's Blackledge. 3rd and 16. Blackledge standing in his own end zone from the shotgun. Rams in the zone defense. Reading the quarterback. He throws. Almost intercepted again. Pass was intended for Henry Marshall. Johnny Johnson, or rather that's Eric Harris, the former Chief, almost came up with his interception.
Eric Harris, great drive on the ball as Blackledge with that strong arm tries to throw the square in, but you're right. Great ball reaction by Harris.
So this will force Jim Arnold to punt from the end zone line, and he has to be very careful and not step on the back line. Henry Ellard ready to receive, already in Kansas City territory. This is Henry Ellard at the 45. He's already returned 1 this year for a score, but he doesn't do it this time as he gets down to the Chiefs' 35-yard line. He's tackled there by Adam Linger. No score here in the 3rd period. Rams lead at 13-0. Norwood Van, fine backup linebacker and good special teams man for the Rams, limping off the field. And there's John Robinson, who always goes out, John. Every time one of his players is injured, he's one of the first out there to see about it.
Yeah, and he just carried Norwood Van's helmet off the field. And you know what? People talk about Robinson being tough, and we know they have very physical practices all week long, but he's enthusiastic. He's a motivator. He supports his team, and the Rams believe in him. I mean, that's part of the reason they're successful. They come out of the locker room, they believe they're going to win, whereas Kansas City doesn't have that feeling.
The Giants leading Washington 14-0 in the 3rd quarter. But the Rams looking for more. They have the ball at the Chiefs' 35-yard line. Brock, play action pass. Good pass. Gets it off. Complete to Barry Retton. Retton down the far sideline. Still on his feet. Gets to the 16-yard line before he's tackled there by Kevin Ross.
What a great block by the center. Doug Smith, number 56, on the linebacker. Take a look at the center, pulling out. Watch number 56, left side of your screen on the brute leg. Here he knocks Jolly right on his butt, and that gives Brock time to get the ball off for the completion, Jim.
Actually, Brock had his choice of receivers then, as that pass was good for 18 yards. He completed it here to Barry Redden. David Hill was also open. Brock doing a little more moving around in the pocket.
Are you just saying David Hill was open because he's your brother? Did he tell you to say that?
No, he didn't tell me to say it. I'm just looking at it right there. But like I said, he had his choice. Inside handoff to Redden, who loses the ball at the line of scrimmage. But the Rams maintain possession. Tony Slayton. Looks like Tony Slayton, the second-year man out of USC, who was injured earlier, comes up with the fumble recovery.
Take a look at it again. Of course, the Rams had fumble troubles last week when Dickerson coughed up the ball 3 times. This time it comes loose right there. You see the ball, it's out, and then the scramble was on. And when things are going right for you, left side of your screen, you'll see it. Slayton eventually comes up with the ball. See it on the screen. And the Rams retain possession.
So no one has scored yet here in the third period, even though the Rams lead at 13-0. But Los Angeles is threatening. Brock back to pass. And he's dropped. The first sack of the afternoon, that time by Mike Bell along with Ken Jolly, the blitzing linebacker.
And really, Mike Bell is the best pass rusher along with Art Still for them. Take a look at it right here. Left side of your screen. He's working on number 75, Irv Pankey. All right, he has time to throw, Jim. There's just good coverage downfield. Dickerson is also covered right to the left of your screen by the linebacker, so he didn't have a chance to get the outlet man. Take a look at it. See, he has plenty of time. Bell eventually comes off his block to make the sack.
Norwood Van has a knee injury. We're told he will not return, but the Rams have 3 wide receivers, 3rd and 11. The draw play to Dickerson. And Dickerson gets to the 12-yard line. Art Still making the tackle for Kansas City. That puts Mike Lansford in position for his 3rd field goal attempt of the afternoon.
And again, it was field position, Jim. I mean, Henry Ellard returns upon 11 yards, so the Rams get the ball on their own 35-yard line. So all they do is have to go 15 or 20 yards, and they set up a field goal to pick up some more points, and that's been the story of the afternoon.
But the thing about it, even getting that great field position, they weren't able to take it in for a touchdown. Instead,
good point.
Have to settle for a field goal attempt. The ball will be spotted at the 20. This will be a 30-yard field goal attempt. So this afternoon, Mike Lansford is 3 for 3, a 30-yard field goal attempt. It gives the Rams a 16-0 lead over Kansas City. So after the 11-yard punt return by Henry Ellard, the Rams take 5 plays to go, 21 yards, use 2 minutes and 38 seconds on the clock. And now they trail, the Kansas City Chiefs trail the Rams 16-0. And you wonder, with John Mackovic in the middle of your screen, Todd Blackledge on your right, Bill Kinney on his left, will he make a decision to make a change, John?
He's standing in the middle of his decision. Do you go with Todd Blackledge, who has had a terrible afternoon, or do you come with a banged-up Bill Kinney and try to pull this game out of the fire? You're down 16-0. You're here in the third quarter. It's not over yet. It's a tough decision for his man.
9 minutes.
And also yesterday,
seconds. 9:16. Please reset the clock.
We're told that they're resetting the clock. There is a problem with the clock on the field, and referee Dick Jorgensen is making them reset it. John, coming up a little bit later today, an event that you covered so well last year for CBS, America's Marathon Chicago.
Oh, yeah, last year Steve Jones, the world record. But this year, I think the story is more in the women's side, where there's a confrontation between the Olympic gold medalist Joan Benoit and the current world record holder Ingrid Christensen.
Over 12,000 runners will be participating. That's later today on CBS. Here's Mike Lansford's kickoff. Jeff Smith at the 5-yard line. Smith gets to the 25, to the 26-yard line, and that's where the Chiefs will take over 1st and 10 as Todd Blackledge comes back onto the field.
Todd Blackledge, part of that great quarterback class of '83. Elway, Blackledge, Kelly, Eason, O'Brien, Marino. So many doing so well. Elway in Denver now. O'Brien coming on with the Jets. Marino, of course, had a fantastic year. Blackledge is kind of the forgotten man. Eason starts in New England, even though he's injured now.
And Blackledge told us that he figured by his 3rd year in the league that he should be starting and doing quite well. He's starting, but he's not doing well this afternoon. 3 interceptions this afternoon so far. Here's an inside handoff. E.J. Jones. And I still continue question marks in my mind, John, just like the fans here at the Arrowhead Stadium. Why are the Chiefs continuing to try and run so much?
No doubt about it. And continuing that with Blackledge story, I mean, he talked about his development, that he came from a less sophisticated offense at Penn State, so it's taken him a little longer to develop as a quarterback as opposed to some of his peers who stepped right in and are playing so well in the NFL.
That was a loss of 1 yard on the play, 2nd and 11. Ball at the 25-yard line of Kansas City. They trail the Rams 16-0. 8.5 minutes left to go in the 3rd period. Here's a handoff to Herman Hurd. Hurd gets to the 28-yard line, and the boos continue to come out. Carl Eckert. You know, there are a lot of people here who are wondering exactly what's going on with the Chiefs. One of the more interested spectators here, George Brett of the Kansas City Royals. Turn around here, George. Let everyone see. It is. I'm wondering. You know, you're a big Chiefs fan.
Yeah, I'm up in Coach Makovic's suite every time I'm in town and the Chiefs play at home. I always go up and stay with his wife and family and have a good time rooting for the Chiefs.
Coach told us yesterday, I believe it was, that you are a role model for his young Chiefs.
I don't know about that. I go over to practice quite a bit and watch him and know a lot of the players, but we just have a good time.
Stick with us right here for a few minutes, George. Here's Blackledge now from the shotgun. Throws. Intended for Walt Arnold. Vince Newsom covering for the Los Angeles Rams.
George, do you have any solution to the Kansas City Chiefs problems? Would you switch quarterbacks here and go back to Kenny from Blackledge? I'll put you on the spot. It's okay, Joe. You've been there before.
Well, hey, Kenny's hurt, and I have a lot of confidence in Todd. Todd hasn't had a chance to play this much, and I think if Todd, the more he plays, the better he's going to be.
A diplomatic response.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about game 2 coming up a little bit later on this evening. But right now, here's Jim Arnold punting. Henry Ellard, fair catch at the 25-yard line. And that's where the Rams will take over 1st and 10. You know, George, I was thinking kind of a real frustrating loss for the Royals last night. You know, losing the ball game 3-1. You missed it, getting a run on a squeeze play in the 2nd inning. Another great play by Templeton at 3rd base, which cost you another run.
Yeah, we definitely had some opportunities to score, and when you play a team like the Cardinals, you can't miss those opportunities. We had bases loaded twice, a runner on 3rd with 1 out, and we couldn't get any runs in, and that's why we lost the ball game.
I thought you were going to get a home run last night.
I did too when it left the bat. I just didn't carry as far as I thought it did.
All right, Dieter Brock now in at quarterback for the Rams. Barry Redden along with Dickerson in the backfield. This is Dickerson. Gets away from 2 tacklers. Finally knocked out of bounds by Duron Cherry.
George, I have to ask you this question. You're down 1-0 to St. Louis now, but you've been in that role before. Up in Toronto, you were down 3-1 in games, and yet you came back. That seems to be the characteristic of your club.
Well, I think it was a very, very good response after the ball game yesterday. Everybody came in, and there was a lot of players that don't say anything after a loss. A lot of players came in and said, hey, we can beat these guys. And there's still a lot of confidence on the team after what we just went through, being down 2-0 in the playoffs and then 3-1 to come back and win 3 games in a row. This thing's not over yet. We feel we can beat them, and we just got to go out and play a little bit better if we're going to do that.
And the Kansas City Chiefs hope that this game isn't over yet for them against the Rams. 2nd and 12. Play action pass. Brock gets away. Scramble. But he's in trouble and is swarmed under. Art Still first to get to him for the Chiefs.
Pressure all afternoon from the Kansas City Chiefs defensive line. Brock not having time to set up and do what he wants to do. Take a look at it right here. Blanton on the blitz is picked up well, but then Bell from the outside puts on pressure. Moss up the middle. Still finally, watch Still, 67, the big man takes down Brock for the sack.
Quarterback sack by Art.
George, you've got Charlie Leibrandt going for you tonight. And we'll talk about him and his strategy in just a couple of moments. Here's Brock, 3rd and 16. The draw play to Dickerson. Oh my.
Ooh, Mark Robinson. What a hit he put on the dick. Somehow, the Chiefs have come out with a little bit of fire. I don't know where they got it from, but they certainly have it right now. Dickerson on one of his favorite plays, 2 big linemen pulling in front of him. And watch Mark Robinson, the 2nd-year man from Penn State, come up and put a lick. This is a classic shot on a big back who's tough to tackle. Look at that reaction. Shoulder in there, wraps his arm, and takes the Dick down, who may have slipped a little bit on the serve.
Just a little bit, that's right. Dale Hatcher into punt now for the Rams. Coming into the game with a 44-yard average, as long as this afternoon, 48 yards. Good high punt. Garcia Lane at the 30-yard line. Gets to the 34-yard line, and that's where the Chiefs will take over 1st and 10. Mark Giroux making the tackle. So with the score, Los Angeles Rams leading Kansas City 16-0. Back in a moment. 5:57 left to go in the 3rd period. I'm Jim Hill, along with John Dockery and George Brett of the Kansas City Royals. George Brett trying to root on the Chiefs before the Royals go on to take on the Cardinals in Game 2 of the World Series. 1st and 10, Todd Blackledge at quarterback. Play action pass. Blackledge gets it as he throws. Complete to E.J. Jones. And Jones picks up enough yardage for the 1st down. One of the few times the Chiefs have had to cheer this afternoon in the 2nd half.
Good idea by Blackledge. He sends his receivers deep down the field to clear out that zone. Play action fake to hold the linebackers, and then he sneaks E.J. Jones over the middle on a safe, high percentage pass. He needs to build his confidence. These kinds of passes can help him.
We saw George Brett cheering that particular play. I'm sure you really want to cheer on Charlie Leibrandt tonight.
Yeah, Charlie throws a lot like Tudor. I think the key tonight is to keep the first 3 guys off base. If we do it tonight like we did last night, we'll have a chance.
George, thank you so much for coming by, and good luck.
Jim.
Okay,
good luck to you.
George Brett, great third baseman, one great individual. Blackledge back to pass, throws, complete to Henry Marshall. Marshall drugged down from behind by Eric Harris.
And, you know, this is what the Kansas City Chiefs do best. They throw the ball. They started out in the 1st half trying to run the ball, doing something they don't do that well. It's when they come out and fling it, open it up to those fine wide receivers, that's when it clicks for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here, Marshall over the middle, something he does best of all their wide receivers, makes the reception, and the Chiefs and Blackledge are on the move.
That play good for 22 yards, and in Gary Green's little seminar during the week, the former Chief told his Ram teammates, Henry Marshall is the man for the Chiefs. You have to have the most great amount of respect for him. Blackledge back to pass. Throws. Going for Anthony Hancock. And it is Leroy Irvin again with the interception.
Leroy Irvin, was he animated at the end of that play? He threw a towel right in Hancock's face, but it was Blackledge's problem again, underthrown. You can't just throw it up against good cornerbacks. See Leroy Irvin right there. He's looking in the backfield. He sees the quarterback setting to take a long throw, and then he just runs with great inside position. Again, uses his body, goes up and makes the interception in the end zone, and the Rams do it again. They lead here at Arrowhead Park.
So after Leroy Irvin's 2nd interception, the Rams have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. And this is why Irvin was so mad out there.
Carson Hancock had a hold of his face mask, but he takes the towel from Hancock and throws it right in his face. That's adding insult to injury.
Well, the mistake then by Blackledge, the Rams were sitting back in a zone defense, knowing how well they play the zone this year, and they're just sitting back, reading the quarterback and waiting for it.
And he underthrew that ball, Jim.
4 interceptions on the afternoon for the Rams. Their offense has the ball now. Inside handoff to Barry Redden to the 22-yard line. Bill Moss making the tackle for Kansas City. Mistakes over and over and over again. This is what Bill Kenny told us that the Chiefs have been doing. They make the same mistakes. That's what the Chiefs have done this afternoon. 4 interceptions.
And it's led to Rams scores. And coming into this game, they've only thrown 9 interceptions. And Blackledge has already thrown 4 this afternoon. Added to the 2 he already had.
2nd and 7 at the 23-yard line. The draw play to Dickerson. Eric, the Sealy Cyclone, is on the move, spinning, picking up enough yardage for the 1st down. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York for this NFL Today report.
Well, Jim, it's been tough going against this Eagle defense, but the Cowboys finally scored for the 2nd time from the shotgun inside handoff to Tony Dorsett. He has both their touchdowns. It's 14-6. Let's go back to Jim.
All right, Brent, thank you very much. And don't forget, next week, CBS sports, the doubleheader. You'll see those Cowboys again. They are really starting to play well the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season, even though they may be struggling just a little bit this afternoon. 1st and 10 for the Rams. The handoff to Dickerson. And he's caught right at the line of scrimmage by Art Still, even though he picked up another 4 or 5 yards. I'm seeing what the Ram people are talking about, where Dickerson is just 1 or 2 blocks or 1 or 2 defensive people away from really breaking a big one.
Maybe we expect too much of Eric Dickerson, but I've seen him for the last couple of weeks, as you have, Jim. You've seen him all season long. He seems to be a step away. He doesn't seem to be the Dickerson of last year.
And I think one thing that we need to really do is to give other people credit, because when you play against the best, sometimes that makes you play up to that level. However, the Chiefs are trailing 16-0. Here's Dickerson again. Oh, does he bulldog his way up enough yardage for the first down?
Eric Dickerson on the carry.
Eric Dickerson.
By Art Still and Ron Cherry.
Unlike some of the other tall running backs in the league, he can really get going. It is Houston over Cincinnati in the 3rd quarter, 24-13. Buffalo behind Vince Ferragamo, leading Indianapolis by that score. It is Pittsburgh over St. Louis, 20-3. Eric Dickerson, who hasn't rushed for 100 yards in 3 weeks, is looking for it this afternoon. 18 carries for 59 yards. 1:45 left to go in the 3rd period. Here's Dickerson again. Cut down at the line of scrimmage, but still, every time he gets hit at the line of scrimmage, he manages to pick up another couple of yards. Tackled by Gary Spaney.
Tackled by Calvin Daniels and Bill Moss.
That's one of the reasons Dickerson averaged over 5.5 yards a carry last year. He's so big and so strong and so smooth that it's tough to get a good shot, and he just carries defenders with him. He's power and speed personified. Seldom do you see a back like that.
Got hit at the line of scrimmage, still picked up 5 yards. 2nd and 5. 1:10 to go in the 3rd period. Barry Redden in the backfield with Dickerson. Redden gets the call right up the middle. Lloyd Burris finally making the tackle for Kansas City. And the offensive line, who John Robinson thrives on and says he likes power football. We saw it last week in the 4th period. This week we're starting to see it here in the 3rd period, where the size is just really starting to take control.
And they are a much more physical team than the Kansas City, not just in mentality, but also in physique. They're larger, they're stronger.
That pickup good for 14 yards. 1st and 10 at the 33 of Kansas City. Dickerson again. Hit at the line of scrimmage by Gary Spaney. Probably lost a couple of yards. And also Mike Bell in on the tackle. And that looks like the last play here in the 3rd quarter. So that is the end of the 3rd quarter with the score. Los Angeles 16, Kansas City nothing. We now pause for a word from your local station. From Arrowhead Stadium here in Kansas City, the Rams leading the Chiefs 16-0. Los Angeles has the ball. 2nd and 12 at the Chief 35-yard line. Play action pass. Brock throwing. Complete. Oh, in and out of the arms of David Hill. He should have had that. He was wide open.
And you know what? Michael Young was clearing out deep behind him. And yes, David was wide open. And actually, he has good hands. We saw him a few weeks back make that great catch in the end zone, diving catch. But really, what the Rams pay your brother for, Jim, is to block for Dickerson, something he does so well.
And with that incomplete pass, makes it 3rd and 12. The Rams with 3 wide receivers in. Ron Brown, Mike Young, Henry Eller, Dickerson in the backfield. Brock at quarterback. Complete to Dickerson. Good tackle by the Chiefs. Kevin Ross.
That's how it looks in the textbook. Ross just set himself up and took on Dickerson, who weighs about 45 more pounds than he does. Great tackle by number 31, Kevin Ross.
So the fans here in Kansas City trying to lift the spirits of their Chiefs, who are on a 2-game losing streak. A little bit later on, it'll be game 2 of the World Series. We just talked to George Brett. He hopes to help his Royals to defeat the St. Louis Cardinals, and even that best-of-7 series at 1 victory each.
I think the fans are trying to lift their own spirits also. You mentioned the 2-game losing streak because this team, this Kansas City Chiefs team, started off so strong, Jim, 2-0 against New Orleans, and then they just blew the Raiders away on that Thursday night game, and then they had their problem.
And remember, John Malkovich said that was in a period early in the year where maybe we started to take a lot of things for granted. We thought all we had to do was just tune things up. So down on the field, Dick Jorgensen is talking to the Chiefs.
Delay. Offense. Incline. 4th down.
And that will force Dale Hatcher.
They wanted to give Hatcher a little more room to kick the ball inside the 20. Kansas City said, no, you're not going to do that to me. I'm going to decline the penalty.
Hatcher, one of the best in the league at getting punts out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. He told us yesterday when he wants to do that, he likes to point the tip of the ball upward just a little bit more so he can get a lot of height on it.
Well, they're letting the clock run down again as they wait for an extra Ram to get on the field.
And the Rams better hurry. They only have 7 seconds to get the punt off. It is high by Hatcher. Fair catch called by Garcia Lane, but it bounces. It's hit by Sean Miller at about the 12-yard line. And that's where the Chiefs will take over 1st and 10.
Jim, what's happening tonight on CBS?
Right here, you're looking at it, 60 minutes. Murder, She Wrote, Crazy Like a Fox, and Trapper John, M.D. That's tonight, right here on CBS. 13 minutes, 23 seconds left to go in a ball game. The Chiefs, like they have all afternoon, starting off in bad field position. This time from their own 12-yard line. And this is certainly not their best quarter. They have been outscored by a considerable amount throughout the course of the year. E.J. Jones. He gets into the line of scrimmage and probably loses a yard. Reggie Dawson, Jim Collins, and the Chiefs have gone into a shell.
And the fans echoed my sentiments perfectly. You heard the booing. I mean, you're down. What do you have to lose? Put it up. Make something happen. It's not an unsurmountable lead. You're down 16-0. A couple of quick scores put you right back in the game.
But it's a lead you're not going to overtake if you keep running the ball like that, going against one of the better run defenses in the league. Now the crowd starting to chant for Kenny. Blackledge back to pass. Protection. Throws. Complete. Willie Scott. Tackle by Nolan Cromwell.
And it's interesting, Cromwell's helmet is caught on Scott's helmet. They were trying to pry them apart. And watch Blackledge here. Keeps his cool, is actually directing traffic, telling Scott to go. Move over, move over. I'm waiting till you get in that second lane to be open. And he does. Good pass protection. Scott with the reception.
So Blackledge doing a better job here in the 3rd and 4th quarter of reading the zone just a little bit and directing traffic.
See him right there, pat the ball.
And he's going to have to do a lot better job because they're trailing 16-0. 12 minutes left to go in the ball game. Inside handoff. This is Eaton Hawthorne. Tackle made by Greg Meisner.
You know, the Kansas City offense has the weapons to come back if Blackledge can find his pacing. I mean, they have Henry Marshall. They have Carson. Malkovich knows that he has Stephon Page, guys who can get downtown in a hurry. Some offenses can come back, Jim, but this is one that can.
Couple of quick scores. The Giants over Washington, 17-0 in the 4th period. Houston leading Cincinnati. Second down here. Play action pass. Blackledge. Almost intercepted for the 3rd time by Leroy Irvin. Intended there for Henry Marshall. Irvin doing a great job of reading the quarterback and a great break on the ball.
You talk about Hayes and Haynes for the Raiders as 2 of the finest cornerbacks in the NFL. Well, if you watch Irvin and Green, you'll see 2 fine ones. He almost comes up with the interception. Marshall actually slipped, so Irvin had a little bit of an edge there to come back on the ball.
4 wide receivers now in for Kansas City. Anthony Hancock, Henry Marshall, Carlos Carson, Stephon Page. For the Chiefs on 3rd down conversions. have not been good at all. Blackledge trying to get more time, better protection, goes into the shotgun. Rams, 6 defensive backs in the zone. The pressure's on, and he's set. Charles DeJournay, along with Mike Wilcher, the blitzing linebacker.
And Jim, that's the Rams nickel package, dime package. They have 4 defensive linemen to get the rush. They have 1 linebacker, number 54, Wilshire, who gets to Blackledge. Blackledge, not the most nifty guy in the world on his feet, not a scrambler. And there, that was very close. Seemed the ball was loose as he was going down. They could have called that a fumble.
And here's the punt by Jim Arnold. Henry Ellard at the 37-yard line. Ellard gets into Chief territory. He's tackled at the 49-yard line. That's where the Rams will take over 1st and 10 when we return.
Henry Ellard in the return, tackled by Mark Robinson.
So with 10 minutes 59 seconds left, the Rams lead Kansas City 16-0. Another score. It is Detroit leading San Francisco 23-14. If everything holds true, the Rams could go into next week's game, which is the second half of the doubleheader, with a 4-game lead as the 49ers take on the Los Angeles Rams.
Boy, and you have to wonder about the fat cat syndrome. You win the Super Bowl, you're the best team in football with an incredible record, and what happens to you?
We'll find out as far as the Rams are concerned the second half of our doubleheader next week. But the Rams right now trying to finish off the Chiefs. Hand off to Dickerson. He gets to the 42-yard line of Kansas City. Art Still, Deron Cherry making the tackle there for the Chiefs.
And now the Rams are just wearing down the Chiefs. They have that great time-consuming ground game. Total yards, take a look at it here, 110 for Dickerson. And look, the Rams only have 180, so Dickerson is the man again today. Over 100 yards, Jim. Hasn't done that for a few weeks.
21 carries for 69 yards
That includes
rushing.
passing from the line of scrimmage at graphic.
2nd and 3. Inside handoff to Barry Redden. Redden gets to about the 40-yard line. Bill Moss and Jerry Blanton in on the tackle for the Chiefs. The Raiders leading the Cleveland Browns 14-10. Houston there over Cincinnati by 14 points in the 4th quarter. The Rams looking for their 7th victory of the year. And this would be the best start in Ram history, 7-0. They had another 7-0 season in 1978. They went 11-0 in 1969. And they've done it mostly with defense and just hard-nosed football. Hand off to Dickerson. Hard-nosed football up the middle. This is John Robinson's kind of game now. Power football. You have the lead. 9 minutes, 26 seconds left to go in the ball game. And you have the ball.
And again, when we said to John Robinson yesterday, hey, you continue to win ugly the way they did last week against Tampa Bay when Irvin intercepted a DeBerg pass and ran it back for a touchdown. He said, what do you say? I'll take 10 more ugly wins.
Yeah, and then laugh at those who call it ugly. Some more scores. Pittsburgh over St. Louis in the 4th period. Hey, John, Philadelphia leading Dallas.
My, oh, my.
Hand off to Dickerson. Oh! Little Kevin Ross, even though he's 5'9" and 182 pounds, he has the heart of a lion.
Watch Kevin Ross. So small, yet such a hitter. Compact. A man who started all 20 games since being drafted in the 7th round by the Chiefs. There he just puts his head right into Dickerson and takes him down. He gets a little bit of help, but still a hit by Ross. I love Dick's outfit, don't you? Look at all the equipment he wears.
What he told us a couple of weeks ago, I don't come to look pretty when I come to play.
He looks like his tailor's from Mars.
There's a handoff to Redden, and he's tripped up at the line of scrimmage. Bill Moss and Mike Bell.
You know, you look at Dickerson's equipment. I mean, he wears reinforced shoulder pads, a neck brace, a flak jacket, hip pads, elbow pads, goggles. And he says he's been doing a lot of it since high school.
Don't forget the mouthpiece now.
The mouthpiece. I mean, he's a man ready for business. Look at this. Last 3 games, the Dick hasn't really done that much. He's got a little more today, but remember his return against Seattle. Whoa, was he hot. Since then, it's been a struggle for Dickerson.
And he's been bothered with a lot of nagging injuries, a hand, a hamstring. Here's Brock back to pass. Spins right into Mike Bell.
And Jim, the reason he wasn't able to throw that ball to Dickerson, his safety valve all day long, is that number 50, Calvin Daniels, saw Dickerson sneak out of the backfield and was covering him. But take a look at the wide receiver. That's good coverage. Ross. All right, he's open for a moment there. Yes.
Mike Young from UCLA.
Open. But Brock didn't have time. He was being pressured.
No, he couldn't see him then at all. 4th down now. Dale Hatcher comes in. That's Garcia Lane. It is 10-yard line for Kansas City. And Hatcher has been doing a great job of getting not only distance on his punts, but tremendous height. And he'll see if he can get another one off. The rush was on, but Hatcher gets it away. Lane with a fair catch at the 11-yard line. And that's where the Chiefs will take over. 1st and 10 as they trail by 16. 6:56 left to go in the game. Coming up next, right after our ball game, the NFL Today post-game show with Brent Musburger and Irv Cross. All the scores and highlights.
And after that, Jim, it's America's Marathon with some of the best stars of marathoning. Of course, Steve Jones will be there, the world record holder, and Joan Benoit and Ingrid Christensen.
Over 12,000 runners in that race. It's coming up after our ball game. Here's Todd Blackledge. 1st and 10 for the Chiefs. Rolling out. And he's going to run. Blackledge forced out of bounds by Gary Green at the 37-yard line. They were playing a song here during the timeout talking about the heat is on. Well, certainly the heat is on Blackledge and the Chiefs, down by 16 points. That run good for 25 yards and a 1st down.
That's one of the biggest plays of the afternoon for the Chiefs, is Blackledge not noted as a scrambler. You could never mistake him for Joe Montana or Joe Theismann.
Some scores. The Raiders have climbed back on top of Cleveland, leading 14-13. The Browns trailing by 1. Here is Houston over Cincinnati, 34-13. Minnesota over San Diego by 4. The Giants leading the Redskins. The Skins finally get a field goal. Blackledge throws. Intended for Willie Scott. Incomplete. Gary Green covering.
And, you know, we talked about John Mackovic getting tough, taking the Kansas City Chiefs out of their comfort zone this week. I mean, Monday's practice, you and I both know, Jim, we played the game. Monday, you usually come in, take a little sauna, maybe a whirlpool, and go home early. Well, Mackovic this week had him out practicing for about 2 hours, and he's also done some other things to tighten up the ship here in Kansas City.
He's taken away their lunch privileges. He makes them go out in pads for 3 days a week, which some of them are complaining about. But on the other side of the field, some people for the Rams are saying when you play for the Rams, it's like playing 3 games in 1 week. Wednesday and Thursday are just like game-type conditions. Blackledge back to pass. Throws down the middle. Complete to Carlos Carson. There's a flag on the play. It looks like a face mask will be called against Johnny Johnson.
And Carlos Carson is the man, the big play man for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is just a deep square and the kind of pattern that Blackledge told us he likes to throw. I don't like to throw that 10 or 12. See Green falling down there on the turf, and watch as Carson goes up, makes a good catch, and after the play, see the reach in right here, number 20, Johnny Johnson grabs him by the face mask, and that's the penalty.
And the penalty will be tacked on to the play that was good for 21 yards.
You know, Jim, that's his average. His average in the NFL is 22 yards, and that's second to Willie Gault. So Carlos Carson's the big man. How about this?
Roger Craig has just scored for the 49ers, but the Lions still lead it, 23-21. 49ers play the Rams next week, second half of our doubleheader. Play action pass. The blitz is on. Intended for Willie Scott, long over his head. Nolan Cromwell defending for the Rams.
Ethan Horton, number 32, blocking on Mel Owens, wasn't exactly awesome on that block. That made Blackledge throw the ball a little before he wanted to.
You know, with all the talk this week about the new rules that John Mackovic has put in, you know, we hear a lot of grumblings. We know a lot of the players, you know, really don't like it. And sometimes when you have those kinds of things to happen, you spend more time concentrating on the rules as opposed to concentrating on the game itself.
Mackovic said simply, Jim, we need more practice time. We have to be sharper mentally. We're a young team.
Well, so far that extra practice time has not paid off, as the Chiefs have not scored. But here's a handoff. Ethan Horton. First contact made by Vince Newsom. It is Atlanta over New Orleans, 21-10.
Boy, Atlanta looking to get off the schneid there, along with Buffalo trying to get off the teams who have yet to win, along with Tampa Bay.
The Rams defense this afternoon has been superb. 4 interceptions. 3rd and 6. The Chiefs now with 4 wide receivers. They have not taken advantage of their wide receiving core this afternoon. Blackledge hit in the air by Mike Wilson. He comes up with the interception. The 5th interception of the afternoon by the Ram defense. This time Mike Wilcher. Great athletic ability, tipping the ball and finally hanging on.
Boy, what a play that was. I mean, that's what you do in practice when you're kidding around or practicing the old tip drill. Wilcher running away from the ball. Take a look at it right here. Find number 54. He starts in the blitz, then he backs off, and watch him tip it with his right hand. Oh, yeah, I'll nonchalantly pull it in with my left. What a play by Mike Wilcher. Another turnover for Kansas City.
And a turn off as far as Blackledge is concerned.
And Blackledge's locks are looking a little bit shorter. Yesterday he told us he was going to get a haircut in honor of his first start in the NFL. The Rams have given him a haircut today.
They shaved him for 5 interceptions. 1st and 10 for the Rams at the 36-yard line. Here's Dickerson. Barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. And it's really amazing that this year, for the 7 straight weeks, the defense has played great for the Rams.
And look at this. Take a look at that. I'll tip it. Yeah, I'll pull it in. What the heck? A little an afternoon's work here at Arrowhead Stadium. Whew, what a great interception by Wilcher. Maybe that's why they drafted him number 2 in '83, because they knew he had that kind of athletic ability.
Well, he has certainly come on strong and has done a fine job.
Well, isn't he playing for the injured George Andrews, who was, I mean, Andrews so good so long, #1 draft choice back in '79.
Andrews suffered his 2nd knee operation this year. And Wilcher has stepped in and done a great job. Rams haven't lost anything at all there. Toss back to Dickerson. Nothing as he gets to the line of scrimmage and probably loses a yard. Kevin Ross coming up once again. Look, Kevin Ross has had a good game.
Oh, he's a good one. I mean, they knew it when he came in here. But, Jim, you know, I want to get back to that point. You talked about playing for the Rams as really a physical experience, but yet when we saw practice on Saturday for the last couple of weeks, the Rams were loose. They were having fun, playing games.
Certainly were. Yesterday, the team was in a meeting. Meanwhile, Dale Hatcher and Mike Lansford were out here with a $5 bet trying to hit the crossbar on the goalpost from 20 yards out. And Lansford is up about $70 as far as that's concerned right now. He's really taking the rookie to the bank on that one.
And then how about Gary Jeter on the punt?
And they come out, yeah, they have punt, and an offensive lineman go against a defensive lineman trying to catch punts. That's an experience in itself. Dickerson up the middle.
But I loved it when Gary Jeter made the catch on the punt to win it for the defensive lineman, because last week the offensive lineman had won when Kent Hill threw the ball from about 40 yards away into the bucket.
We were talking about Kevin Ross, a good game. Look at him taking on Mike Young here. Now watch Tony Hunter come over. And Ross isn't going to take it from anyone. Hit him too. Go ahead, Kevin.
Whew, not a bad right hand. Second-year man from Temple.
Put some boxing gloves on him.
He's a little guy. He better watch himself at 5'9", 180 pounds. Watch out. He better be tough. 4th down now. Dale Hatcher, who's $70 in the hole now to Mike Lansford in their contest, is into punt. Rushes on. Just gets it away. Good high punt again. Garcia Lane, fair catch. And he makes it at the 26-yard line. Next Sunday, right here on CBS, a doubleheader. Most of you will see Atlanta and Dallas. Some of you will see Minnesota and Chicago. But the second half of the doubleheader, the San Francisco 49ers, the defending world champions, going against the Los Angeles Rams, who appear now to be going into that game with a record of 7-0.
the 49ers need to win. If they lose, they will go into that contest trailing the Rams in the NFC's Western Division by 4 games.
And look at this. San Francisco coming back against Detroit. They trail by 2 in the 4th quarter. They need a victory there badly, because that would make them 4-3 and still in the hunt.
The standings show the Rams sitting very well on top in the NFC's Western Division. 2:58 left to go in the ball game. Handoff to Ethan Horton. Why are they running?
Well, I'm going to run down to the field right now and ask John Mackovic, why are you running the ball? You talk about defeatist, offense. You can't do that. Mackovic, I know he has a tough game coming up next week against Denver. I understand it's in the division, it's all important. But this, my friends, is all important also because you go to 3 and 4.
He told us yesterday, he said, these 2 games are so important to us because if we go in the second half of the season at 5-3, we really have a shot.
Well, their schedule, yes, has been incredible. 6 of their first 8 opponents were playoff teams last year. So it has been, they have the toughest schedule in the NFL.
From the shotgun. Pressure's on. Complete to Ethan Horton. Tackled there by Johnny Johnson.
Jim, I would do more of that. I'd say to Ethan Horton, look, your #1 draft choice out of North Carolina. You catch your ball well out of the backfield. I'm sending you out of the backfield right now against that zone, and I'm going to move the ball.
But there's another thing about it, though. You're not going to get a lot of yards throwing to your backs out of the backfield when you try and pick up 6, 7, and 8 yards at a time, and you're trailing by 16 with a little less than 2.5 minutes to go.
Well, it's tough going downtown because the Rams are just sitting in that deep zone. So if you try to go downtown, you'll have it intercepted again.
They don't have to go all the way down. They can try and go medium passes, 12, 15, 18 yards.
You mean
or at
just
least
halfway
try.
downtown?
Yes. Blackledge. Good coverage everywhere, and he has to run it and goes out of bounds at the 40-yard line.
That's what Blackledge is able to do more than Bill Kenny, though certainly this game would be different if Kenny were healthy. Kenny for the last few weeks has been in that zone, that place where athletes get where nothing can go wrong, much like George Brett. Kenny told us, he compared himself to George Brett. When he sees the ball, boy, he'll hit anything. And Kenny was there, and the Chiefs were hot, even though they did lose a few games. But with Blackledge this afternoon, he's nowhere near the zone.
The twilight zone is probably what he's in.
Exactly.
Because he hasn't been able to spot any receivers. His favorite receivers this afternoon have been the Rams, who've come up with 5 interceptions. Blackledge out of Penn State in his 3rd year. Once again from the shotgun. Here comes the pressure. Boom. He gets hit just as he throws the ball. Doug Reed, Gary Jeter applying the pressure for the Rams.
Gary Jeter from the backside, the designated pass rusher, much like Freddie Dean up in San Francisco.
That's the 2-minute warning. 16-0 Los Angeles. John Robinson and his Rams are now 2 minutes from being 7-0.
Now, Jim, would you call this a beautiful win, an ugly win?
A win, period. You and I both played long enough to know that you don't pay any attention to the adjectives that people put on victories. It's in the win column. They don't say win beautiful, win ugly, win should have lost, win should have won. Doesn't make any difference. Take it, get on the plane, and go home.
Maybe the NFL should come up with a category of whether it's ugly or beautiful in terms of win. Look at this. Look at that graphic for the Los Angeles Rams. 13 of their 16 points scored off turnovers. Again, the defense. I thought John Robinson was a little bit tighter than normal yesterday for a 6-0 coach. Was it because of his offensive problems?
Well, 13 of 16 points. You win 16-0, and 13 of those 16 points, it's kind of strange. There's Jeter again. Completed to Horton.
Jim, I thought it was funny when we talked to the Rams. They're all saying, we're the other team, the other unbeaten team. Of course, the Chicago Bears are getting all of the publicity and all the spotlight as being the best team in the NFL this year.
But also, that can serve to your advantage because it can also be a motivator. You can say, they don't give us respect. We'll show them this week. We don't have any respect. We'll show them next week. next week for the Rams, the second half of our doubleheader against the San Francisco 49ers.
Should be a good one. That will be the biggest test lately for the Rams. I mean, Tampa Bay played them well last week, the Chiefs today, but I mean, San Francisco is a legitimate playoff possibility as a team if they start to play the game and win today against Detroit.
Blackledge, plenty of time, throws. Fans are hollering for pass interference against Leroy Irvin. The pass was intended for Henry Marshall.
But you mentioned the silver lining and not having all that media attention and winning ugly. I mean, that takes some of the pressure off you, that you're not a great team and you're lucky. I mean, John Robinson kind of likes that. It's a place to hide in the shade. But Irvin here, he did hit him early, and there should have been a penalty. Right there, the ball is yet to get there. And it could have been called, but it really wouldn't mean that much at this point in the game.
Irvin has 2 interceptions already this afternoon. He was the NFC Defensive Player of the Week last week. Returned an interception for a touchdown against the Buccaneers, which sealed the victory for the Rams. 4 wide receivers in now for Kansas City. 6 defensive backs for the Rams. Complete out of the backfield to Jeff Smith. Smith tackled by Mike Wilcher, who has 1 of the 5 interceptions for the Rams. And the clock continues to roll. The Rams looking for their 7th straight victory, leading the NFC Western Division. The Chiefs a little confused on offense. And now there is a timeout on the field, as the Rams surprisingly call out. The Rams call timeout. We'll be back. The first final of the afternoon is in. The Giants over the Redskins 17-3, John.
Say something nice. That's the New York Giants. They come back with defense. Right here, of course, Rams 16-0 over Kansas City. Giants needed that one badly. They've been having their problems.
Defense in that game, defense in this game as far as the Rams are concerned. 6 turnovers, 5 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. 1:23 left to go in the ball game. Here's Blackledge from the shotgun. Rams defensive lineman having fun now. Intended for Horton. As Gary Jeter once again applies tremendous pressure on Blackledge.
Tough spot for any quarterback to be in. Of course, Gary Jeter, 9 years out of USC, came into the game with 3-4 sacks. And is there really a designated rusher? Take a look at it right here. Bingo. Up around the rib cage, and then just says, hey, let me fall on top of you. Oh. He rolls him over on the turf. 5 interceptions. What an afternoon Blackledge is having.
He's gone down in the record books, but not in a category that he would like to. It ties a team record for most interceptions in a game by the Chiefs. Complete to Jeff Smith. Smith tackled by Mel Owens and Jim Collins.
If you're John Mackovic, how in the world do you regroup for the big game next week against Denver after a performance like this? I mean, you have to hope that Bill Kenny comes back and is healthy. I mean, you could argue that decision this afternoon. Do you go out with a quarterback who hasn't played much this year and take out your hot quarterback because he's banged up somewhat? Well, that's what John Mackovic decided to do this afternoon. It's backfired on him because Blackledge just hasn't done the job.
He certainly has. It's been a most disappointing afternoon for the Kansas City Chiefs. Bill Kenny told us yesterday that maybe him not being in the lineup today would spark his offensive and defensive unit, but it's been just the contrary. It's gone the opposite. The Rams have done what they've done all year long. Played great on defense. 5 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. And the Chiefs really went into their shell, I thought.
They did go into their shell. They tried to run the ball early, something they do very, very poorly, something they've done poorly since Joe Delaney was here way back, the late Joe Delaney. So they really haven't had a running game. They hoped that Ethan Horton would do it for them. But this is a fine Rams defense. I don't mean to take anything away from them because they made those mistakes, those turnovers happen.
They certainly did. And if you do it maybe once a year or twice a year, then sometimes you can say lucky. But when you do it week in and week out, that's the mark of a good football team and a team that has nothing but great things to look forward to. And things are going pretty well already. 1 minute and 7 seconds away from being 7-0. 4 wide receivers in now for the Chiefs. Blackledge. There's Jeter again, but he gets it off. Leroy Irvin has had 4 opportunities to come up with his 3rd interception of the afternoon.
What a year Leroy Irvin is having.
But what they're going to do, what they'll tease him about is they won't talk of him or compliment him on the 2 interceptions. They'll talk about the 4 misses that he's had.
Isn't that always the way? But Irvin last week intercepts a pass, runs it back against Tampa Bay to come up with a win for the Rams. This afternoon, another sparkling afternoon for both cornerbacks, Gary Green and Leroy Irvin. I think there's got to be a controversy out there in L.A. with Lester and Hayes. They're going to decide who are the best cornerbacks in the Los Angeles area.
Yeah, it's really going to be a lot of fun in the next few weeks out there. A little more than a minute to go. Here's Blackledge again. Flag is down. Throws. And there's Gary Green knocking the ball down. So I tell you what, Green has an interception, a couple of fine tackles, knocked a couple of passes down. Oh, he's gotten some revenge. He's been very diplomatic throughout the course of the week, saying, well, we just want to play well. But knowing Gary.
Offsides, number 77, defense, first down.
It's against Gary Jeter, but knowing Gary, and I've known him all of his life, I know when he gets on the bus and gets ready to go on the plane back to L.A., he will talk for the entire 2 hours and 45 minutes nonstop.
He can talk, can he? Oh, but what a good one. 9 years out of Baylor, Gary Green. But he was part of the rebuilding process here in Kansas City. Makovic wanted to put his own mark on this team. So in 1983, 14 rookies made it. 1984, 11 rookies. 33 rookies in 3 years. That's what I call a young team trying to rebuild.
And some people are wondering, was the turnover just a little bit too much, too quick? Blackledge going into the end zone. Green knocks it down. Nolan Cromwell comes up with the interception.
Can you hear Nolan Cromwell saying to himself, look, Green's got an interception, Leroy Irvin's got a few, Johnson's doing the job, well, I might as well pick one off also. And that, my friends, is number 6, Bertard Blackledge. What a terrible afternoon. Take a look at it again. Here, they're in press and bump and run. That's number 27, Gary Green, covering Stephon Page. Green trailing underneath because he knows he has help deep. You see Cromwell, the ball is tipped. Cromwell comes up with the interception.
It's kind of strange, last night I was sitting with Gary, and we were having dinner, and someone came over to him and recognized him as being a former Chief, and his eyes got real big. He said, yeah, somebody recognizes me. And they said, well, Gary, I hope you eat just good and eat as much as you want, because the Chiefs are really going to put it to you tomorrow. And Gary says, not if I have anything to do with it.
And you got a sense from the Chiefs that they were going to go after the cornerbacks, Irvin and Green, because they thought that they could set them up. I mean, Blackledge said that we think we can throw on them. We have great wide receivers. Hasn't turned out to be the case this afternoon.
This is Lynn Kane, the ball carrier now for the Rams. So the Rams, 6 interceptions this afternoon, 1 fumble recovery, an interception by Gary Green, Johnny Johnson, 2 by Leroy Irvin, 1 by Mike Wilshire, 1 by Nolan Cromwell, a fumble recovery also by Cromwell. And if you're going to, if the Rams are thinking of passing out game balls,
they're going to need a lot of them, won't
that's
they?
right. They're going to they need a bag of them to pass them around to 3 or 4 people. And if Gary Green doesn't receive one, I bet you he'll take one.
I have to wonder if the Rams, they'll be 7-0. Things have gone so well for them. Will they be ready next week when they have to take on the San Francisco 49ers?
Oh, they will be. You can believe
they've been looking forward to that.
They've been looking forward to it for a long time. And that is the end of the game here from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. The first game of a big doubleheader here. Later it's game 2 of the World Series. The Los Angeles Rams, behind 6 interceptions and 1 fumble recovery, shut out the Kansas City Chiefs 16-0. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.